You're strapped in to a live radio broadcast on Pure Rock Radio.
Just about everyone and their dog has a website or uses a domain name like yourname.com. Thanks to our partnership with GoDaddy, the leader in hosting and domain name registration, we can offer all our listeners big savings on everything GoDaddy offers. Go to purerockradio.net/GoDaddy for a full list of coupon codes to save on hosting your website, registering your domain name, and much more. You can even switch to GoDaddy anytime to start saving, and our coupon codes will never expire. Every time you use one of our coupon codes, it benefits you, Pure Rock Radio, and all the shows we carry. So thanks for visiting purerockradio.net/GoDaddy today. Try coupon code POD167 to save 10% off your GoDaddy purchases today.
Welcome to the Used Bin. All music, all the time. What are you listening to? Used Bin Radio. Welcome to Used Bin Radio. Boys and girls, it's Tuesday night. We're so pleased that you could join us tonight. We are going to rock and roll you tonight, and we got a lot going on. So let's just tell you what's going on. First of all, later this evening, we're going to have our featured guest, Kasim Sultan. You know him, you love him. Utopia, The Cars, Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell, all kinds of good stuff.
Dude played on Bat Out of Hell.
Right?
Just letting you know.
That's right. And in the studio, we have a special correspondent with us right now, Stephen Humphreys, we have a very special topic we're going to talk about in just a couple of moments. The background music might give it away. Later, we're going to have Rachel, the Metal Warrior Princess, to tell you all about the music news. But most importantly tonight, we want to hear from you. We want to know what you've been listening to, want to know what's in your iPod player, on your MP3 player, your 8-track tape player, and your record player and cassette player.
And your Laserdisc player.
And your Sony Walkman.
Your Super VHS player.
And all of that.
Your Betamax
and
player.
What kind of sheet music you've got on your piano.
That's what I'm talking about.
So give us a call. We're at 888-405-7440, or you could drop us an email at usedbinradio@usedbin.com. We're listening to a little Gary Moore right now, so I guess we should just dive right into this. The sad, sad news of Gary's passing. What a great guitar player, and he will be missed. I think we should just go right to our pal here, Stephen, to get his take on it. Stephen, what's going on?
So, I'm in mourning.
Yeah, right? You were a huge fan, right?
I'm a huge fan. I mean, I have four main musical heroes of mine. Robert Plant and Led Zeppelin.
And Brad Hirsch.
Marillion. Not Brad.
Not Brad.
I love you, Brad.
Jesus Christ.
Marillion.
Oh, the abuse.
And then you
the
come into
abuse.
my house and this is what you do to me?
I love you, man.
I'm kidding.
But not in that way. Yeah, so four main musical heroes and Stephen Wilson, and then finally Gary Moore. Gary Moore, you know, when I was really discovering music, age 12, he was the dude. That was when Out in the Fields came out, his duet with Phil Lynott. And once I heard that, I was off to the races, man. I mean, I have probably 3 shelves full, maybe 50 CDs of stuff I've collected of his over the years.
That's unbelievable.
He was my hero.
That's unbelievable.
And what a shock. Age 58. Mm-hmm. Too young to go.
Oh, definitely. Now, without getting into the graphic details, all I know is that he was found in a hotel room in Costa del Sol. Mm-hmm. No official word, or is there official word?
Yeah, preliminary autopsies seem to indicate that he had a heart attack in his sleep.
Yeah, I think, originally what I'd read was that he had, possibly choked on his own vomit. I think that's what Classic Rock was reporting, but I think that has been debunked where, yes, the autopsy came back and looks like it was just a heart attack. And like you said, at 58, too young to go.
Yeah. You know, you look at some of those great Irishmen who've also died too young, like Rory Gallagher and Phil Lynott, and here's a third guy. You know, it's really tragic. So best thing to do now is crank up the music and enjoy his legacy. But
And a long legacy, like you mentioned. You probably, if you've got 3 shelves of Gary Moore related music, there's a ton of stuff. I know. I'm most familiar, I guess, with his work with Thin Lizzy, and I was actually one of like 6 people who really loved the Greg Lake solo album, which was just an odd pairing, really odd pairing. Hearing Greg Lake, the voice of Tarkus, singing "Nuclear Attack" is just odd to me, but it kind of works on some weird level.
But we did it about 10 minutes ago. Right?
Yeah, we did. We listened to a little Nuclear Attack just before you came in, but. Of course, he's best known, I guess, for his blues work. Do you have sort of a go-to? Is there a best record to go to for that bluesy period?
You know, his best record probably ever was "Still Got the Blues," which was really quite a breakthrough in 1990. It really kicked off a blues boom, and in fact, David Letterman loved that record so much that he flew Gary over and had him appear on the Late Show with he just came over with his guitar, and he was backed by Paul Schaefer and the guys, and that record sold something like 3 million copies worldwide. I mean, really, it was quite a phenomenon.
And if he could play with Paul Schaefer in the band and still sound credible, that's even more testament of what a great musician he is,
dude.
Because like getting in Paul Schaefer digs.
Yes, because hey, love him as a comedian, but the last time I saw him play with credible musicians, when he was doing like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction for Van Halen, it was like the nail in the coffin. It was awful.
Well,
I love how we can turn a Gary Moore death topic into a rip Paul Schaefer topic.
Sure. We gotta redirect our anger somewhere.
It's pretty good. I like it.
I've got a list of some of the odd and unexpected names that Gary has played with over the years.
Let me ask you a question before you actually get into that, because you would know this, because admittedly, as much as I admire Gary Moore, I probably am not, I'm far from well versed on my Gary Moore. So he went from this big rock guitar guy into more of a blues guy. What was the impetus for the transition?
I think around about 1989, he kind of got bored of it. I think he got bored of wearing spandex and just clearly wasn't feeling the inspiration. Went in to cut a blues album, supposed to be a fun side project. He didn't expect anything from it, but it blew up, became really big, and that charted his course from there on. I mean, he did return to rock a couple of times. He did a more of a modern rock kind of album in 1997 called Dark Days in Paradise, and then he did a power trio, which is sort of a hard rock power trio called Scars in 2003 thereabouts, and toured with Whitesnake, and when he was his last tour last year, actually returned to his Celtic rock roots, where he was playing stuff like from all his 80s stuff, and including 3 new songs that he had been recording for a projected Celtic rock album. It's not known if he actually finished it, but he was going back and tearing it up, and some of those great tracks like Thunder Rising from Wild Frontier, and some of the After the War stuff, and so he was the thing about Gary is what a diverse player.
Yeah.
One of the most diverse players. I mean, he could do an amazing version of 21st Century Schizoid Man.
Right, which he did on the Greg Lake tour.
To the jazz rock stuff he did in the 1970s, sort of very John McLaughlin, Jeff Beck oriented.
Well, that's what I was going to mention to Brad, because besides, if you're not well versed, besides bouncing back between rock and blues, he did have very notoriously this sort of fusion period where he had this band called Coliseum 2. And Coliseum 2 was Don Airey, who's played with Ozzy and everybody in those English
Deep Purple
circles.
At the moment.
Yeah, and that was more of a fusion thing. So he was really all over the musical map in much sort of a Jeff Beck way, I guess.
Right. Yeah, he even did punk. I mean, he and Phil Lynott formed a band that had Steve Cook from the Sex Pistols.
Steve Jones?
Steve Jones, sorry. And Paul Cook.
That's okay, yeah, you had them mixed up. That's all right. They're the same guy. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's the same guy. It seems like these guys, these virtuoso guitar players, they definitely don't stay in one genre for too long. And but I was just curious as to why the shift from rock into blues, but that seems to make sense.
And I think he started off listening to blues. I mean, his first inspiration was Eric Clapton and John Mayall and Hendrix and that kind of stuff. So sort of a gravitation, just back to that kind of stuff.
Good.
But yeah, what a diverse guy. I mean, he also did a great sort of electronic dance record with around about 2000 called A Different Beat, which I think is a fantastic album. Not beloved by a lot of the fans because it's very unusual.
I don't know that one.
And, he was a guy who
How could you not know that?
I don't know that one.
I heard Bublé played on it.
Oh, nice.
No, he was a guy who played with Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
Oh, wow.
He played with Frankie Goes to Hollywood?
I didn't know that.
Oh, just relax.
He also played with Andrew Lloyd Webber.
I was just going to mention that.
The Beach Boys.
The record that was mentioned on the air a couple of weeks ago, Variations.
Yeah.
Well, I finally picked up a copy.
It was Eric from Magic Pie was talking
Eric
about
from Magic Pie mentioned it,
yeah.
and so I ordered a used copy from Amazon, and it came yesterday. So I'm not prepared to review it yet because I've only given it a quick overview. But you got Phil Collins playing drums on some of those tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Lloyd Webber, Gary Moore, Phil Collins. Okay,
All right.
playing.
I'm in.
Playing instrumental variations on classical themes. Very odd.
I'm probably in.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Stephen. I'm sorry. Who else did he play with?
Oh, man, what a list. I mean, he jammed with John Bonham. He had B.B. King, Mick Jagger. I saw him with Mick Jagger, actually, in the early 90s, play a half-hour blues set. Fantastic. The Traveling Wilburys, who was on their second album. Albert Collins, Ozzy Osbourne, Paul Rogers, George Harrison, Albert King, Jack Bruce. Who else? Snowy White, Cozy Powell, Otis Taylor, Greg Lake, Glenn Hughes. I mean, just a who's of music. And a lot of those guys have poured out some great tributes over the past day or two. For example, Opeth put a statement on their website.
Nice.
And those guys said, "We are devastated to hear about the passing of Gary Moore. Both myself and Frederick are massive fans of his, and we've been listening to his music since we were kids. He was such an integral part of our musical upbringing, so it's with great sadness we have to try and accept this horrible news. One of the best, very level, hard rock players ever. We love you. Rest in peace. Michael, on behalf of Frederick and Opeth."
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of them came in. I know the Ozzy one. Ozzy says, "I knew Gary Moore for what seemed like forever. We'd run into each other many times over the years, and we were always able to pick up right where we left off. I had the honor of recording with Gary on his After the War album on the track Lead Clones, which was great fun. To say that his death is a tragic loss doesn't seem to give it the justice it deserves. We've lost a phenomenal musician and a great friend."
Yeah, and in fact, Ozzy made a very famous comment about Gary Moore, who, let's face it, was not one of the pretty boys. It's not a Richie Sambora in the looks department.
Okay.
Ozzy famously said that Gary Moore had the face of a welder's bench.
Okay.
But man, could he play?
Absolutely.
Wow.
And I think that's the interesting thing. If you look at those Gary Moore album covers, the guy looks like a henchman in a 007 film or something.
To be fair, he had a better wardrobe than Steve Howe, though. So
I was just going to say, if Ozzy said that about Gary Moore, what would he say about Steve Howe?
My precious.
That's right. My precious. There's another great quote from Roger Taylor, actually, where he says, "It was my wife who told me the news. It's terrible. 58 is just too early. In Phil Lynnett's case, it was tragic, and in Gary's case, there should have been a lot more years. I have great memories of Gary on tour with Thin Lizzy with Queen, always smiling, very cheerful, and too young to die. He'd recently joined Lizzy, and he lifted in great, a blindingly fast player. And the thing with these stagnato runs with a bit of jazz in there, totally different to Brian May, who's a very fluid player. But musicians usually get other rated musicians, and Brian was very much enjoyed his playing." So it seems like they're coming in everywhere. A lot of the tributes and whatnot. So
yeah, good words from Slash and Bumblefoot out of Guns N' Roses, for example, and Jack Bruce, all sorts of people saying how good he was. And Gary had the fingers a stenographer would envy. The guy was, he was one of the fastest in the West.
Yeah,
but that wasn't the sum total of his playing. I think not just his technique, but I think the greatest thing about Gary was his pure level of expression. He's one of those guys like David Gilmour who could play a solo that would make you weep and cry.
Yeah, just bending notes and getting the emotion across. More than a than a flashy, note for speed's sake kind of player. He had an incredible feel.
Yeah, for sure.
And even though, like I said, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of the blues aspect of his career, some of that stuff, as a non-blues person, I just go, God, that really is great stuff. So yeah, I could definitely appreciate it. When was the last time you actually saw him performing live?
That would have been about 2001 thereabouts.
And he never went through. Never went through like a period where he was losing it. He had it. He had it all the way through the end.
Always great. Yeah, right through the end. And that.
No, he was a young guy. 58's young.
That's true. That's true.
I think what kept Gary vital as well is he was a guy who was always listening to new music. I mean, he'd pop up at a Muse gig, for example, and so he stayed fresh and just he wanted to explore different musical areas and go into different things. You'd have to look at people like Steve Hackett or Benny Gatton to find a guitarist that stylistically versatile, I think.
Did he have a reputation as a drinker? I'm just curious as to where this rumor would start that he would have choked on his own vomit.
I think Gary liked to drink. I don't think he was an alcoholic. I say that as someone who doesn't know him, but I believe at High Voltage last year, Zach Wilde, who went on Twitter shortly after he died, said, Gary was plastered, as he put it. He said he was just chugging back the sauce. So I think that maybe led to people assuming that it was alcohol related, but I don't know, and until there's an official autopsy,
right?
But it does appear it was a heart attack. So yeah,
just a shame.
We shall see.
What track were we just listening to?
That's called Spirit.
Is this like Coliseum 2 era?
This is actually the Gary Moore Band from 1973.
Wow.
Which was...
I don't know this, but this is good.
It's great
this
stuff.
Is really
it's
good.
Really psychedelic kind of stuff. He had previously been in a band called Skid Row.
Skid Row.
Yeah, I saw this in Wikipedia.
Hey, whoa. Back up.
In what? In Wikipedia, it lists some of his credits. This is really funny, but I had to print it out because it says, he played with B.B. King, Albert King, Coliseum 2, Greg Lake, and Skid Row. Not to be confused with the glam metal band of the same name.
Oh, you mean he didn't jam with Bass?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Just checking.
Thank God. I think would have had to have quit as a fan if that was the case.
He probably could have done a respectable job of even making them look good.
Yeah.
No, man, I'll be honest with you. It wouldn't come as quite a shock. It wouldn't come as a total shock. I mean, Sebastian Bach's a music fan. I mean, I don't want to get on a Sebastian Bach topic, but he's a music fan. I wouldn't be surprised to see him show up somewhere where Gary Moore is and try to belt something out.
And Paul Schaefer.
Well, we're all Paul Schaefer fans.
Let's give Sebastian Bach credit where credit's due. He likes Rush. I mean, that's good taste, right?
Well, they covered a Rush song, right? What You Doing?
Yeah.
God bless him.
Yeah.
So that's good. And he was in Jesus Christ Superstar, by the way.
No
Jekyll and Hyde.
No, Jesus Christ Superstar.
Oh, and Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was Jesus. He played Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah. It didn't go over very well, but he did play.
It's a good gig.
Yeah,
I'm Jesus.
Yeah.
It's a good gig.
I think he got booted off the tour, but he would vocally, he's perfect for that. That's right up his alley. It all comes back to Jesus Christ Superstar.
What are some of the other rock stars that have done those kind of musicals?
Dude, Ian Gillan. Ian Gillan was
Dennis
in Jesus Christ Superstar.
Right.
Dennis DeYoung was Pontius Pilate.
Steve Hogarth.
Irene Cara, by the way, was in Jesus Christ Superstar. In case you needed to know.
Okay.
Didn't Steve Hogarth audition for that, or was it Tommy? There was some musical that he auditioned for around about 1996.
Yeah, I was aware that he auditioned for a musical. I wasn't sure which one. Did you know? I might have mentioned this on air at some point, but a good piece of trivia said former Marillion vocalist Fish was on the short list of 2 or 3 names before Bob Geldof got the gig as the star of The Wall.
Really?
Who
Yes,
was?
Fish.
Huh. That could have been cool.
Could have been. But they did just fine though.
The guy's so tall.
That worked out okay for him.
It worked out
pretty good.
The guy's so tall they would have had to get a wide-angle lens just to fit him on the screen.
That's right.
Wow, that's not very nice, Stephen. We don't appreciate that kind of talking here. I just want you to know. This is a very PC, legitimate kind of rock and roll radio show that we have here.
Rachel, the Metal Warrior Princess, is
She's in the house.
She's in the house.
Stephen taking control.
Yeah, hi, Stephen.
How's it going, Rachel? I'm not gunning for your job. Don't worry.
Wow.
You're irreplaceable, Rachel.
What are you wearing there? Look at that shirt. The Metal Warrior Princess. Look at that. She went all superhero on our ass. Good for you. I'm very proud of you. Are you listening to this, Mama? Turn this up.
Would this be an Iron Maiden cover by that band that Mike Portnoy used to be in?
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Although this is during the tenure of Michael J. Portnoy III. I love this tune. Well, Stephen, thank you for the Gary Moore stuff, because quite honestly, I didn't know almost anything about Gary Moore when it comes to that, so I appreciate it. Well done. Good job.
Great to be here, and thanks so much. I know we're going to play later on. We're going to play a little bit of Gary as a tribute.
Yeah. Is there any last words? Because I know this has been a difficult time for you. No, but I want to let
Morbid much?
Yeah, I want to allow you to mourn. I want to give you your time.
Well, all I could say is, you could go check out the music. Start with an album like Wild Frontier from 1987,
okay,
in which Gary explored sort of a Celtic rock kind of influence. It's a mix of rock and kind of pop-oriented stuff. That's a good starting point. If you want to go really hard rock, go for 1984's Victims of the Future. And blues-wise, still get the blues, After Hours, great albums. Any of those, you can't go wrong.
Good.
And if you're a fan of Gary Moore, why not give a call into the show? And we'd love to hear your thoughts. And
wow, look at this guy! Wow,
who's this guy? What's the number, Stephen? That they can call?
I'm not John. I'm not gunning for your jobs, honestly.
Okay, what's the number they can call?
Call us at 1-888-405-7440.
And how can they email us, Stephen?
And I can email you at usedbinradio@usedbin.com.
Nicely done. Who's that guy? Let's just end our Gary Moore segment real quick with an email that I got from Lee Graham.
Okay.
Who says, don't know about you guys, but Gary's Moore death took me by complete surprise. I was a huge fan, having discovered Corridors of Power in high school. What a feeling, what a tone. And aside from Alex Lifeson and Alan Holdsworth, Gary had some of the biggest hands of any guitarist. How about that?
Wow.
Is that true, Stephen?
I can't vouch for the hands, but
well, you know what they say about a guy with big hands, don't you?
Yeah, well,
big gloves, good guitar player. All right, Stephen.
I never got to see Gary live. I never did. And there were only a couple of bands that I would have gone to see him with, if there was a Thin Lizzy pre or post Phil Lynnett's passing, lineup that he was touring. In fact, I don't know. Did he ever tour with any of the post Phil Lynott lineups, or was Phil sort of his connection to that band?
Phil was his connection, but in 2005 he did a tribute to Phil Lynott and Thin Lizzy, which he got all the former Thin Lizzy guys.
Okay.
And you can find that on DVD. In fact, it's called One Night in Dublin, and a fantastic set. You got Scott Gorham and
oh, nice. Okay, so it was
Brian
more or less
Downey
official.
And Eric Bell came along, and Brian Robertson, the whole crew, and so he did that. That was his way of giving tribute. I don't know that Gary was necessarily all that enthused about the current Thin Lizzy lineup,
right?
Without Phil in it, but nevertheless, gathered those guys together, and they paid a nice tribute to him. In fact, Vivian Campbell of Def Leppard is in the current lineup, and he is a massive Gary Moore fan. That's
Vivian Campbell of Dio.
Vivian Campbell of Dio? Okay. I once bought tickets to the Long Beach Arena in 1981 because the Greg Lake Band with Gary Moore was going to be opening for Foreigner, and I was very excited because, like I said, I like that Greg Lake record.
Yeah.
I was a big ELP fan, and I liked the riffs that Gary had, and so I was excited to see that show. And I want to say it was a week before the show, the Greg Lake Band were pulled off the tour and were replaced by, I think it was Loverboy. And so I sat there, I sat there and watched Loverboy Foreigner going, I could have been watching Nuclear Attack and In the Court of the Crimson King right now.
Let me see.
Missed opportunity.
Let me see. Greg Lake, Mike Reno. Greg Lake, Mike Reno. I'm just trying to figure out where they got that.
Everybody's working for the Tarkus.
Oh, that's just nothing good about what you just said right there.
I can tell you're still scarred.
I am.
I mean, that was 30 years ago.
Scars of pleasure. Scars of pain. All right. Stephen, thank you so much, and rest in peace, Gary Moore.
Thanks, guys.
Indeed. But like we said, please give us a call. We want to hear from you tonight. We're at 888-405-7440, or drop us an email at usebinradio@usebin.com, which is exactly what a couple of our pals did. We got an email from Chris Stone, of all people.
Christopher Michael,
who wanted to let us know what guilty pleasures are in his CD player right now. Any? Would you like to venture a guess?
No, I'm afraid to know it. I'm afraid to know this. Yes.
Rachel, any guesses? No? Okay, well, I'm going to tell you what Christopher Michael Stone has been listening to, and yes, it is the most recent record by Neil Gordon. Bleeding Heart Graffiti. He says the cheese is now a-flowing. Nothing wrong with a good underrated songwriter, but she actually writes her own songs. Unlike a very successful female musician that will go unnamed, but her name does rhyme with Feral Bow.
Feral Bow. Who's he talking about?
I don't know. Nina Gordon should have the success of the aforementioned Evil Demon.
Wow.
Okay. I think we know where that goes.
Yeah.
Fleabag also sent us an email. Who says,
that came from Facebook.
Oh, this is from Facebook.
Yes.
And he wanted to let us know that he's been listening to the Used Been Radio podcast, which is the Matt Scannell show. And he said, this could be your best show yet, guys. Loved him. He was great as a guest. I'll be sure to check out his tunes. This has now moved into my number one spot of all-time favorite Used Been podcasts, which previously had been the Beckham Balls debate podcast. Which is,
love you, Fleabag.
Which has been a non-mover at number one for some time. Yeah, we just don't talk about David Beckham's balls enough, I guess. So
no, that's so great that he. When I was reading that, I thought, I haven't remembered that show in a long time.
Yeah, I do
remember the debate.
I was in the debate, and I still didn't know what he was talking about. It was like the Beckham balls conversation. Yeah, okay, I vaguely remember that.
One day we'll have to revisit that, but I'm not so sure we'll have the same effect as it did when it originally took place.
Right.
That was quite a spirited debate, if I remember correctly. I was doing a lot of talking, and you were bright red.
Yeah.
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 Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, man, nothing like talking about Beckham's nuts on your chin. Okay.
All righty.
About enough of that.
And with that, how about we go to a little tribute to Gary right now?
Great.
All right, this is a live version of a Gary Moore classic, Parisian Walkways, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy this, and we'll miss you, Gary.
Looking back at the photograph, those summer days spent outside on corner town. Ooh, I could write you paragraphs about my old Parisian days.
Hi, this is Britney Spears, and you're listening to my favorite radio station.
And welcome back into the Used Bin. It is Brad and Joe and Rachel and Steven is here. And it's Tuesday night and we're live as usual. The phone numbers if you want to get a hold of us, 888-405-7440. Also the email, usedbinradio@usedbin.com. And let's go to the phones, see what we got on the line. Welcome to the Used Bin. Who be this?
Evening, gents. It's Hermie.
Hermie, how are you, pal?
How's it going, man?
Really good. What are you up to tonight?
What's with the Britney Spears intro? Come on.
Oh, we're just mixing it up. We're just keeping it real.
You noticed that was Joe talking about keeping it real with his Britney Spears.
Real crazy.
Solid.
What's up, Hermie? What do you got going on?
Say, tomorrow is the 30th anniversary of Phil Collins' Face Value, so that's what I've been playing on the old MP3.
Nice.
Very good.
Nice.
Yes.
Not a lot of people. Not a lot of people reference the Phil solo years on the show, and there actually was some quality stuff that people forget, and I'm not talking Susudio.
Yeah, it was his first stab since Genesis, and yeah, it's always been a big one with me. So, a Facebook friend recommended it today, and I put it on and gave it a listen. So,
good. Well, maybe tomorrow I'll put on a little Face Value.
If only that guy could have come up with a memorable drum fill, it really would have made his career take off.
A drum fill for Phil?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the air tonight. There you go.
Yeah.
What else is happening, Hermie?
A lot of Rush news. You guys been keeping up with that?
No, let's hear it. Bring it.
Crazy Rush news. Neal's got a new book,
right?
A new DVD. Yeah, the new book, Far and Away, a prize every time.
Yeah, I heard about. I heard that. I read a little bit about it on I Saw Ed's website, rushasaband.com.
I Saw Ed.
Yeah, it looks like he's just going to collect his blog writings and put them together and put them in a book. So nothing real new, nothing groundbreaking, but it'd be nice to have them in a paperback version. So
yeah, it's a little different for Neal.
I would like to see a Neal Peart cookbook. Call me crazy, but I think that would be fun.
Isn't that coming?
I would like to see Bubba's cookbook.
Yeah, Bubba's Bar and Grill.
Bubba's cookbook. There you go.
I think it would be really fun.
Yeah, I would agree.
And then he's also got the new DVD coming out too. So
I imagine that'll probably be on the merch stand on the next leg of the tour, which is where I'm gonna catch up on all this stuff.
Well, I think he's prepping it all for the new tour coming up. Yeah, the book, the DVD, everything. So
nice.
Yeah, if I remember reading correctly, he tries to make sure that everything is done. His literary works are done before a tour, so they can be on sale there. Now, what do you know about the? What do you know about the DVD, the instructional DVD? Is this a lot of is this all the new stuff, or what's it about?
Well, they filmed a show in Saratoga, New York, and it's what it's called is Taking Center Stage, a lifetime of live performance. So I don't think it's going to be a whole lot of instructional. I think it's going to be Neal kind of doing a little bit of dialogue, a little bit of, him and hawing about just what it is to be on stage live. So I don't think it'll be a whole lot of instructional work. I think it'll just be some film of him doing some live performances. They filmed some of the stuff out in Death Valley just recently, so it'll be a good DVD. I'll get it, but I don't think it'll be as good as it. I don't think it'll be as instructive as some of his previous works, like A Work in Progress.
Right. Yeah. Work in Progress. Some of those other DVDs that he's done, those are really, really interesting. And a lot of people, they really are. A lot of people would think, well, if I'm not a drummer, what interest is that going to be to me? But that's not really the case, because while there is a lot of drumming and there is a lot of technical information there, he really got much more of his personality across in some of those DVDs than I would have expected, where he's sitting out in these woodsy settings and explaining his...
Well, you and I have talked about this before, that particular DVD that we watched cover to cover, in fact, because it was on VHS at the time, and there were two videotapes, and we watched one videotape one night and ran right back to watch it in its entirety the following night, and I was enthralled.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fascinating stuff.
Absolutely, because it was more than just him showing you, all right, here's how you do this, and here's where you put your foot, and here's your grip. It's not just that. It's really interesting from a technique and even a philosophical standpoint on his approach to music and percussion in general.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. Agree more.
Quick question for you, sir. In 2012, 2012, we will likely be getting a Rush tour, which obviously would be the ideal time for them to pull out 2112, either in its entirety or at least that one piece of music. And Getty has, in something, Stephen, I think you emailed me today, in something Getty was talking about just that topic. And I'm wondering, do you think that would actually happen? And could you imagine them playing that full record? Because I can't. I mean, I'd love it, but I just don't see that happening. What do you think?
Talking 2112 or the whole actual?
Well, the whole album, not just the one piece of music, but the whole album, all 6 tracks or whatever.
I don't see both A and B sides in its entirety. No,
me neither.
I don't see that happening.
Me neither.
No.
While a lot of bands are playing full albums these days, I just can't see them doing that. I hope I'm wrong, but they've alluded to the fact that it's 2012 would be the obvious time for them to reference the record, not only for musically, but for merchandising would be great. I mean, all the 2012 T-shirts would be great.
I see they're going to push that a little bit. I still think Clockwork Angels is going to take center stage.
Yeah, I think so.
And then in 2 years we're back to R40. So
that's right. R40.
Here, a couple of quick things about Rush 2112 in 2012. One is, it wouldn't. I mean, obviously they did it on the Test for Echo tour. They played 2112 on the Test for Echo tour. So believe me, there's no bigger proponent of 2112 than me right here, right now. I think they should play it every tour, the whole thing, cover to cover. But there's no way they're playing that whole record. But the thing is that most people, confuse the fact that the one track is the whole record.
Right.
So in their minds, if they say we're playing 2112, they're playing a full record.
And I could fully see them dusting that off again and playing it in its entirety.
It was
again.
magnificent.
It was.
Test for Echo.
And it would be great to see them do that on the 2012 tour, along with all of, or at least most of, Clockwork Angels. But the idea of them going into a rehearsal situation and saying, okay, now we're going to play Lessons, now we're going to play Tears, and now let's jam Twilight Zone. That's just never going to happen.
Twilight Zone will not be played.
Those 3 guys are just not that nostalgic.
Hey, we stand a better chance with Ty Shan than we do.
That's all I'm saying.
Whoa. Easy over there, soldier.
And the Bacchus Plateau petition begins today.
I gave a little shout out to your Ty Shan in the video a couple weeks ago.
Absolutely.
I know. I loved that. I really did. I thought that was fantastic. Hermie, that was brilliant work. In fact, I'm waiting for the next one. So when you get crazy and inspired, go nuts.
All right, it's in the works.
All right.
The other big news is Moving Pictures. They're going to release that in 5.1 surround.
Yeah.
Rich Chicky, the sound engineer from Snakes and Arrows, is working on the 5.1 mix of Moving Pictures. So that should be a big hit. So
that's exciting. I'm definitely down for that. I have a feeling that all the records will eventually get that treatment. They're good like that. This band.
Yeah,
and what a better record to start off with. So.
Sure.
Yeah. Yep. It's a good time to be a Rush fan.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, you have a great night. Thanks for calling in, and we will talk to you soon, partner.
Sounds good.
All right.
See you, Hermie.
I wanted to share a couple of quick little sound bites with you, if that's okay.
Sure.
We might even turn it into a "Can you guess who this is?" kind of thing.
Gary Moore.
Actually, no.
Paul Schaefer.
None of these are Gary Moore, but
Paul Schaefer.
We'll talk a little bit about what we've been listening to and what we've been up to, as we always like to. But before we get to any of that and our featured guest, Kasim, I just wanted to hit you with a couple of weird things that came across my desk, and I just wanted to see what you thought of some of this.
Sure.
Like this, for example. What do you think?
I'm going to give it a minute.
Give it a minute. On first listen, I thought, there's a little bit of a Rush quality to this.
Hang on, I'm with you.
Fatter bass, but there's something Rushy about it.
Oh, yeah, the guitar lick for sure.
Yeah.
Who's this?
This is off of Billy Sheehan's solo album. This is called Indisputable Truth Number 1. Once you hear those high-pitched notes, it's definitive Billy Sheehan.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah,
Really good.
I thought it was pretty fun.
All instrumental?
No, there's some of the songs on this. There's some vocals.
Who's singing? Him?
You know, I'm not sure. I haven't listened to it that carefully. It could be him. I don't know if he's playing. Well, I'm sure he's not playing drums, but he may be playing a lot of the other instruments on this.
Now, doesn't he have a bit of an arthritic condition?
Oh, I don't know that. I've never heard that.
Was it not Billy Sheehan? Am I thinking of somebody else?
Mark St. John?
No. I swear I thought I read that he had a bit of bit of an arthritic thing.
Never heard that before, but
I could be wrong. Well, someone correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, very good.
On the far other end of the spectrum, who do you think this is? And don't look.
I'm not looking.
Okay.
I'm not looking.
I was really surprised because vocally this wasn't what I was expecting.
Here she comes with her girlfriends.
Davy Jones?
You're not far.
Keith Partridge?
You're not far.
All right, who is it?
Isn't it Julian Lennon?
Oh, wow. Yeah, Davy Jones, not a far stretch.
Good.
Coming again and again.
I mean, it's definitely.
That's great.
It's definitely modern pop, but he's strayed from that such obvious John Lennon vocal leanings he did on Velotte and his earlier solo stuff. I thought it was really clever.
Totally dig the song.
And it's called Lucy, as in the sky.
However, the drums sound terrible.
Sounds like Ringo.
No, it's the production on the drums are terrible.
Yeah, I hear you.
I mean, that's a very 80s drum sound.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, and then there's one more I wanted to run by you. This is an East Coast band that got in touch with us here in the used bin, and they sound like this.
Hello.
Oh. Prog much?
Very tasty.
Now that's where people are going to be on one side of the fence or the other.
How hard it is to strike that pose. Our kind is getting really rare. Putting some strain onto your brain. Try to remember.
This isn't bad at all. This is not bad at all.
They're called Half Past Four. Mm-hmm. They're from the East Coast. I know that they were named Band of the Month by Power Prog, and this was named Album of the Month in the New England Art Rock Society. So they're up and coming, but I thought it was really, really good stuff. I know that a lot of prog purists, with the exception of Annie Haslam and Renaissance, still have some issues with female vocals in their prog.
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, listen, it's so good to hear young, modern bands playing prog that this is really good. The music's fantastic.
Yeah, right?
And so you have to get used to the vocals a little bit, but I mean, it's certainly not awful. It's not like she can't sing.
No.
So, I mean,
good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing wrong with this at all. It's very nice. Rachel? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Rachel gives it a thumbs up. Good. I like it. 4:30.
4:30.
I like it.
I was looking for the name of the record, but
will you just turn it down a little bit in my headphones? I'm getting blown out. There we go. Thank you.
I'm progging you out. I'm
just fully blown out. Yeah, we're good. We should have time.
Where'd we go?
Welcome back to All That Remains. Well, that was cute.
Yeah.
No, I enjoyed that.
Wanted to share some of that with you. But since we're on the subject, what have you been listening to lately?
Well, I've been on this massive Nectar kick.
Nice.
Yes, and the backstory to that, which is very brief, but nonetheless, because of my IQ kick the last couple of weeks, I had asked you if you had any nectar because I wasn't familiar with nectar. But I got
some nectar for you, pal.
But I was in the mood for some of that old school prog, and I was just fiending for it. Like that happens every once in a while,
right?
And yeah, it's actually how I started listening to Caravan and to Camel and a Vandegraaff Generator.
I love me some Camel.
Yeah, I get on these kicks every so often, and that's what happens. So I was on that IQ kick, and I asked you for the nectar, and wow, are you kidding me? Remember the Future.
Right.
Good morning to you. That record is fucking great.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm not kidding you. I can't get enough of it. I listened to that record. I've probably listened to it a good 10 times.
Oh, nice.
In this last week.
Nice.
It is, for my money anyway, I love a little funk.
Yeah.
And it is so weird to get a little bit of funk mixed in with a little bit of I don't know, a little bit of like 60s kind of, I don't want to say hippie vibe, but a little bit of 60s vocals.
Yeah, definitely.
Nurtured with that English prog sound.
Definitely.
Dude, I'm not kidding. I don't think I could have ever put together funk and English prog and thought that would have worked. But not only does it work, it's absolutely epic.
Yeah, I totally agree. Very melodic.
It is really. There's something about that, and I know I'm cutting you off.
No.
There's on this record, and if you're not familiar with the record, Remember the Future. The first two tunes, one is like 16 minutes, and the other's like 19 minutes.
Well, yeah. What I was going to tell you was originally it was released. That was the whole record. It was two sides, and it was just two songs. The CD version has a couple of bonuses and outtakes and things thrown on.
And quite frankly, those are good. But it's really about those two tunes.
It's about those two tunes.
Yeah. And in typical prog fashion, it's part one and part two.
Exactly.
So you got to love that. But it is really absolutely spectacular 30-some minutes of music.
Right.
And if you have not heard this record, it's really worth going out and listening to. And you got to put on the headphones and dive in. Take 32 minutes out of your life. Yeah, honestly, you won't regret it.
And you'll love it.
I was blown away.
It's prog, it's funk, it's earthy, it's organic, it's 60s. It's just as much Buffalo Springfield as it is Camel.
And that's the weirdest thing about it. You know, I mean, it really is.
It's an odd blend.
And the funk part of it is absolutely fantastic. And it feels very, that part of it feels very 70s, which I like.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And then some of the melodies come in and you go, wow, man, this is Harvey Kubernick, Laurel Canyon, 1965.
Sure.
Very, very cool. Really
good reference.
Really into it. I can't get enough of it. So
good.
I'm on a real wacky nectar kick.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
I'll get you some more nectar shortly so that you can explore some more of their catalog.
What about you? What have you been listening to?
I've been listening to.
I imagine it's not nectar.
I do love me some nectar, but
you haven't been listening to them.
I haven't been listening to them.
That's
I've been on a big Jadis kick. Do you know Jadis?
I do know Jadis.
Yeah, another English sort of neo-prog band. Well, they do have some very progressive elements. I think it's more pop in the same way that like a Kino or Latter Day It Bites is more pop than prog.
Right.
Or ACT.
Oh yeah, sure.
That kind of thing. And so I really like it. Some great hooks, some great melodies, and then they throw in some of the complexities just to make it fun and tricky. So I like me some Jadis.
That's nice. I'll listen to that.
And the first Jadis record, the reason they even came under my radar because of being the big Marillion guy that I am. Steve Rethery produced their first record.
Oh, nice.
I'm not sure if he ever actually played with them. I think he might have thrown a few riffs or licks on the first record or two. But I know he produced the first record and sort of broke them. I think they've even opened for Marillion in the past, but they've been around for probably a good 10, 15 years now, and they've put out quite a bit of material, and I've been really exploring that catalog and really enjoying that.
I'm interested in that.
I'll hook you up.
Yeah,
what else?
Sure.
What else you been listening to?
Nothing. That's really it for me. I went right from IQ to nectar. I feel like
that's pretty proggy.
I know. I'm trying to move into the 80s. At some point in the next week or so, I'm going to move into the 80s. Although I know I mentioned last week I listened to some of that Fozzy.
Yeah.
But it couldn't overtake that IQ kick. I don't know what it is, man. I get that it's like you get a taste in your mouth, and you just can't. You can't satisfy that thirst.
Like when you had Beckham's nuts on your chin.
Not my chin. Do you want me to remind you what that debate was?
Not really. So, speaking of moving into the 80s, I will tell you that I did dive into the 80s. I pulled out a disc probably haven't heard in 15 years.
Okay.
Contraband.
Oh, sure. Yeah, Richard Black.
Richard Black, along with, who was it, Tracy Guns? And
the chick from Vixen.
And I think Bobby Blotzer.
Right, yeah, that's about it.
There was somebody else in there, too.
They should have renamed
Michael Schenker.
Right, they should have renamed that band Catastrophe.
You know, that's
what disaster.
That was my memory of it, but it wasn't so bad when I was listening to it the other day. They do a fairly good redone version of Bad for Each Other. Mm-hmm. Not as credible as the Shark Island original, but
let's be honest,
it's Richard Black,
Bad for
singing
Each
a Shark
Other.
Island song.
Bad for Each Other was like a throwaway Shark Island song.
Yeah. Fair.
In all fairness. So, I mean...
And they got a couple of covers on there, and it was an interesting mix.
I just know that Contraband ended Shark Island, and I can't get that taste out of my mouth.
Pretty much, yeah. So...
Can't go there with you.
I got a question, though.
Yeah.
Steven, what have you been listening to, sir?
But I tell you what, a lot of our American listeners will still be traumatized, I think, by that Black Eyed Peas performance at the halftime of Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about that at length.
And if you want to get, that memory out of your ears and just wipe that memory clean, I want to highly recommend a band from Australia called Tame Impala. They're a new band. I'd come across them in Under the Radar magazine, which is one of the indie music magazines that I write for. And they also appeared in a recent edition of Classic Rock Presents Prog. And I thought, if this band can appeal to both audiences, I'm gonna check this out. And it is a fantastic album. The album is called Inner Visions, I think, and it's sort of a psych prog. The tracks aren't long; they're about 4 minutes. But man, what great melodies and grooves, and very adventurous in their own way. These songs go through several gear shifts per song, and it's one of those records. It's the most impressive thing I've heard in quite a while.
Really?
So check them out. I know they're going to be playing at this year's Coachella Festival in Southern California.
Are you going to go?
I hope so. Yeah, I'm hoping to get out there. So, but check out the record. I think they're pretty exciting.
Very nice. Good recommendation. And we will be bringing on our featured guest in just a couple of moments. That would be Kasim Sultan with a resume. We'll talk about that again later. But
a return to the used bin for
Kasim. On Bad Out of Hell.
Dude.
Do we need to really say much more?
The guy played on Bad Out of Hell. It's so funny, man. I was thinking I should go back and listen to the first time we had him on the show. Yeah. But my memory of having him on the show is, do you realize that you played on Bad Out of Hell?
Yeah, that's pretty large.
That was about 40 minutes of the interview.
That's pretty large. Yeah, the resume is impressive, but one of the main reasons, besides the fact that we love the guy and his catalog and Utopia and Bad Out of Hell. Did we mention Bad Out of Hell?
He played on Bad Out of Hell.
But besides all of that, he's hooking up with Paul Gilbert and who am I forgetting?
The drummer. I can't remember
the drummer from Dream. He used to play for Dream Theater.
No, there is no drummer for Dream Theater.
I can't remember that guy's name. And and Neal Morse is also in the fold.
Right. Mike
Portnoy.
I got it. Mike Portnoy.
That's right. I remember him. I have a vague recollection.
I remember now.
I remember
how it started.
It started with images.
I can't remember yesterday.
I can't remember.
I just remember.
I just remember
6 degrees of inner turbulence.
6 degrees of Beckham's nuts on Brad's chin. And then I remember that...
Wow, you cannot let that go.
I just can't.
Be careful, because I could get in that conversation with you, and it's not a good one.
Look out! Kasim is going to be playing with those three fine gentlemen in Yellow Matter Custard, which is a sort of a super group tribute band, if you will, because they're going to be doing a brief tour, some U.S. dates, and they're going to be playing all Beatles music, which is going to be great fun.
It'll be great Beatles tunes.
Yeah, they're going to be
You're not going to get your Want to Hold Your Hands and all that stuff.
No, I'm sure
you should get your deep Sgt. Pepper's cuts, and you should get some really good White Album cuts.
I want to hear like Your Bird Can Sing.
Oh, it should be pretty magnificent.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll have to see if we can get a little hint of the set list from Kasim.
Okay, fair enough. All right, well, he's no stranger to Beatles music, and I wanted to just play a little bit of this before we bring Kasim on. Sometime back in the 70s when he was playing with Todd Rundgren in Utopia, and we've talked about this a little bit on the show, but they did a record called Deface the Music, which I'm a huge fan of this record because long before there were tribute bands or tribute records or anything like that, what these guys did was they sort of got in under the hood of what made the Beatles tick, and they wrote a whole album of material as if it was written by, produced, arranged, and recorded by the Beatles. And so they're essentially a tribute band, but with original material. I thought it was a great concept, and this was the lead track off of that record, and this is I Just Want to Touch You, and if you think it's on a Beatles record, you're wrong, but it should be. So here's a little Utopia.
Hi, this is Geddy Lee of Rush. Presto, you're listening to Radio Magic.
And welcome back into the Used Bin. It's Brad and Joe. It's Tuesday night, and it's that time of the evening where we get to bring in our featured guest. And tonight it is the return of the Used Bin of Kasim Sultan. Kasim, how are you, man?
I'm good, but you can make it easy on yourself and just say Kasim.
Okay, we can do that. We can do that. How are you, man? Thanks for coming back in.
Hey, it's a pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Well, before we even get started, because we want to ask you about Yellow Matter Custard and all the stuff that you got going on, but before we get started, we want to know, what have you been listening to lately? What's in your MP3 player these days?
Let's see. A lot of Rufus Wainwright.
Nice.
He just did an album, Songs for Lulu, All Days Are Nights, and it's some amazing stuff. He's just, I recently discovered him over the past couple of years, and I've become a huge fan, and he's just a great songwriter. Yeah. And so I've been to a few of his concerts, went out to dinner with him once or twice, and he's a really fantastic guy, and I wish that I was him. But then I'd have to be gay, so maybe that wouldn't be bad. I mean, maybe that would be a bad thing.
Yeah, how about that?
Well, I was going to say, I think the last time he came through L.A., and I could be wrong, but I think he was playing the Hollywood Bowl, and he was playing an evening of Judy Garland music.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been back in L.A. since.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But he did do that, and he did that same thing here in Carnegie Hall as well.
Did you catch that?
No, I didn't. I went to his Carnegie Hall show last November. It was just a totally solo acoustic show, just him and a piano.
Nice.
His sister, Martha Wainwright, came up and did a few songs with him, but for the most part, it was just him and a piano, and it was really wonderful.
You know, I remember a long time ago now, and I don't know if it was his first record or it was one of his first records, but I saw him at the El Rey Theater, and was blown away. I mean, it was just fantastic. The guy's really talented.
He's one of those songwriters that you say, "Geez, man, I wish I would have written that."
Yeah.
You know, that's so cool. I wish I would have thought of that first.
Yeah, he's really, and the live shows are just really, I mean, they're filled with so much emotion. I specifically remember that walking out of there going, wow, that's like it was a big night.
Yeah. Well, I've never seen him with a band. I've never seen him, and I know that the last tour he did with a band was from his album "Release the Stars."
Okay.
And which is a great record. But I didn't see that tour. I saw the tour after that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, in addition to
that answers your question anyway.
Well, in addition to Rufus, I would imagine that right about now you're starting to pull out a bunch of your old Beatles albums too.
You know, it's funny because somebody gave me a CD a couple of years ago. It was one of the techs that I work with, one of the guitar techs I work with. And he handed me a CD. He says, "Here, this is every Beatles song ever recorded." And,
nice.
and it was every single Beatles song, every Beatle record on one CD. And you know, I wish that I could have found it because I spent another $100 downloading Beatles songs from iTunes over the past month and a half.
Apple thanks you.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Paul thanks me. Paul and Ringo thank me. And so I have been listening to a lot of Beatles stuff. Not only for Yellow Matter Custard, but I'm also doing the John Lennon show with Glenn Burtnick later this month. And you know, I mean, it's always good to be up on your Beatles.
Certainly. Well,
it's
just
like basic math.
Just before, just before we brought you on, actually, we were playing something off the Deface the Music Utopia album, which obviously that was very influenced by the Beatles. So, were you a big Beatles guy, or was that Todd's idea, or how did that even come about?
Well, believe it or not, and I think I don't normally speak for Todd, but I was surprised to find out that Todd was a huge Beatle fan. When I first joined the band, it was 1976 when I first started working with Todd, and that was in the days of prog rock and lots of riffing and kind of esoteric music. For at least that's what Utopia was doing.
And sequin capes. Let's not forget sequined capes.
Well, yeah, I'd rather not mention that. But yeah, there was a lot of just really intense. Instrumentally oriented music that Utopia was doing. So the last thing on my mind was, whether or not Todd was a Beatle fan. And then I remember one time we were driving down, we were rehearsing in Poughkeepsie. Oh, no, actually, we were rehearsing at Stewart Air Force Base in upstate New York. And I took the ride down with Todd. It was just myself and Todd in a car. And we were listening to cassettes on the way down, and I remember opening up his glove box, and there was all these Beatle cassettes. And it turns out that Todd was a huge Beatle fan.
Right. Wow. It caught you off guard.
So,
yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Who would have known?
Right. So, yeah, on that record, and I'm a huge fan of that record, you basically sort of traced the Beatles' career without actually copying a song. It was just very stylistically their whole catalog, their whole career.
Well, we kind of did try to copy songs, specifically. Like, I Just Want to Touch You was written around I Want to Hold Your Hand.
Right.
There's another song called Life Goes On, which was modeled after Eleanor Rigby.
Right.
So each song on Deface the Music has its roots in a Beatles song or two.
Right.
And why we did that record, nobody knows. But but it seemed like a good idea at the time.
Right. Do you have a preference from that sort of that esoteric Utopia kind of stuff, or to just straight ahead pop? Like, what do you prefer? What do you prefer just listening to?
What do I prefer listening to?
Yeah.
Like if I'm just sitting and listening to music?
Yeah, just as a music fan. I mean, just as the music guy.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's better to tell you what I don't like to listen to.
Okay, that's fine.
Because my taste spans a pretty broad spectrum. I listen to everything and anything except thrash metal and hip hop.
Oh, okay.
I don't listen to any hip hop, and I don't listen to thrash metal or death metal or most heavy metal music. I just don't get.
Okay.
And along with like a lot of, I don't want to say rap music because that's a dated term.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. A lot of the modern hip hop stuff.
Yeah, I just don't get it. I just don't. It just has passed me right by.
I understand that. I mean, a lot of that's Joe and I pretty much feel the same way about a lot of that kind of stuff. Although I have to admit, there's a couple of those hip hop records that I like. I mean, I seem to get Eminem for whatever reason. Maybe it's just the anger and you know what I mean, and the whole. I just feel like it's very genuine, and I think I get in touch with that.
And he had a great Super Bowl commercial.
Great Super Bowl, two of them, right? He was fantastic. He was great.
Yeah. But I do like some of his stuff, whereas a lot of the other stuff in that genre just seems to be sort of for the moment and then forgettable, and it's not going to have the shelf life of some of those Beatles songs.
Yeah, for instance, I kind of started watching the Super Bowl around halftime because I flipped it on to watch the Black Eyed Peas, and it's a spectacle. It doesn't really have a lot to do with music.
Right.
Yeah.
It's more about entertainment. It's not really so much about what you're playing, how you're playing it, what you're singing, what you're saying, what the melody is. It's more about it's just a spectacle.
Yeah.
And I don't subscribe to that school of thought.
That's right.
I'm with you.
I mean, I can sit here and listen to everything from Liszt to Joan Jett, and be satisfied. But there are just certain things that I just have to turn off.
I agree. It gets me. To be quite honest with you, I just get angry. I get angry. I get really annoyed that they put this group in musical categories. I mean, they should be called what they are, which is a shtick, and you know what I mean. And it's entertainment, and it's a spectacle, like you said. It's just far from music.
Yeah.
So if they could compartmentalize that a little bit, I think I would feel a little better about it. But to put it in the same category as music is just even the worst kind of music. Yeah. It's very frustrating to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, and I'm sure most of your listening audience would agree with me that music is very subjective. What I like, my kids would never listen to.
Right.
What my kids like, I would never listen to. And I remember when I was growing up that my parents they weren't big Beatle fans. They were more Tommy Dorsey and Frank Sinatra, and then Elvis came along and kind of rocked everybody's boat, and then the '60s was the British invasion, and so my parents had to live through what they thought was this is music. We call this music.
Right.
This isn't music.
Right.
But
at least there were people.
Gershwin is music.
But at least there were people playing. Like at least the Beatles played their instruments. I mean, that's like for me. That's like sort of where you draw the line. I mean, there's nobody playing an instrument with the Black Eyed Peas. Yeah. It's really it's
a high school pep rally with a big budget.
I guess. It's just really.
Yeah, well, you know what? They're extremely successful, so I would never begrudge them their success. But I will say that I don't necessarily get it. I don't subscribe to it. I don't agree with it. And there's some stuff out there that's okay. That doesn't necessarily mean that I can't stand everything out there. But the majority of it, I just don't get.
Yeah, that Super Bowl performance was maybe the worst Daft Punk video ever. I mean, it was
to me like they were trying really, really hard.
Yeah. It was just weird. I don't know. It's like, I was going to say, like, Kanye West, who I sort of get, and believe it or not, I kind of like.
Yeah.
And I feel funny saying it, and I feel funny when I say it every time, but I do. I kind of get it. Like there's melody there, and there's stuff going on there which I can grab onto. That's a little bit tangible for me. Whereas, I don't know, I guess even Daft Punk for me, or the Black Eyed Peas for that matter. There's just nothing tangible there.
Yeah, I did go a few years back. I went to a Justin Timberlake concert in England, and I thought it was great. I thought he was great. He also played.
Yeah, because you can feel like that sort of. You feel like he's talented a little bit.
That connection,
That's right.
That connection between an artist and an instrument, and somebody who can sing well. But people who get up there and just shout and and say the same thing over and over again, and I don't know. It's fun. These kids with their long hair
and their rock and roll music.
I don't get it. Yeah.
That's it. It's funny. I went to a rap concert. I've been to a few of those actually, and I saw. What did I see? I think I saw it was Nelly and the Saint Lunatics, and I liked the first Nelly record because I thought the melodies were really good on that where he sang. But I went to that show, and my God, it was 5 guys running around the stage trying not to bump into each other, not a musical instrument in sight. It was. I mean, I don't know. I felt uncomfortable. I felt really I felt out of place. I was like, "Where's the music?" I mean, you could, you guys are playing to you're playing to a track. You guys are screaming to a track.
Yeah,
it was it's not so good. It's bad.
Not so good.
It's no good. It's no bueno.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, we're killing our children by teaching them not to play instruments. What are we doing here?
Right.
Yeah, well, my son, I have a 15-year-old son, and he's killer on Guitar Hero,
right.
And I keep saying, why don't you pick up a real guitar? I got a few here at the house. Maybe you might want to pick one up and try playing. Nah, that's okay. Don't worry about it.
Really?
I just like pressing the colored buttons instead.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember when we were kids? That was called Simon. Remember that game?
That's right.
Yeah, right.
Of course. Yeah, but this is Simon to music, which I guess isn't such a bad thing. But
that's right. Well, let's get on to Yellow Matter Custard. I don't know how we got up to Nelly. We were way out there for a little while. Yellow Matter Custard. So how does this come about? Now I know Mike Portnoy had this together a couple of years ago for a few one-off dates, and I believe he had Billy Sheehan playing bass back then.
Matt Bissonette.
Matt Bissonette. That's right.
Yeah.
And so how does this come to be, and how do you get that call, and how familiar were you with Mike and Neal and Paul?
Well, I knew I know who Mike is, and I know who Paul is because I was a Mr. Big fan, and I also know Dream Theater, a very popular band, which was Mike's band for the longest time.
Right.
And I don't know Neal. I'm not familiar with Neal's work, but I just got an email from a couple of different people actually that said Mike Portnoy is looking for your email address. Can I give it to him? And I said, yeah, sure, no problem. I guess, maybe I owe him $50 or something like that. I don't know. And they said that Matt was involved in a project, and he couldn't tear himself away. And would I be interested in doing this Yellow Matter Custard gig with them? And I had no idea what it was because I think that things like that, events like that, tend to be specialized in the sense that if you're a huge Paul Gilbert fan, you'll go. You'll know about it and you'll go. If you're a huge Mike Portnoy fan, you'll go. If you're a huge Neal Morse fan, you'll go and you'll know about it and you'll go and see it. But I have a ton of other stuff on my plate, so I'm not really up on what side projects various musicians are involved in.
Right.
So I said, when I heard what it was, I said, yeah, sure. And I've never worked with Paul, and I've never worked with Mike or Neal, and it just seemed like a great way for me to get out of the house for a week.
Nice.
In February, actually, the last place I want to be is in New York in
Yeah.
February.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you've had a rough winter to begin with.
Oh, it's been brutal.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So when I did finally spoke to Mike, we hit it off. He sounds like a great guy, and I'm really looking forward to it. And it should be fun. It's only 3 shows.
Right.
Yeah.
So it'll go by in a blink of an eye, and it should be a lot of fun.
Do you imagine? I don't know if there's been any rehearsal, or if you guys have even gotten together yet to do this. But I'm wondering if it's going to be real traditional to the original Beatles sound, or if they're going to give it sort of the Mike Portnoy Dream Theater progressive rock twist, or what to expect from that.
Well, I didn't know what to expect either. The last Beatle cover band that I had done was last year. I did a few gigs with this outfit called Classical Mystery Tour, which is this guy actually out your way from California by the name of Jim Owen,
Okay.
who has a Beatle band, and they play with symphony orchestras all over the country.
Nice.
So they will go to places like Grand Rapids and play with the Michigan Symphony Orchestra or the Michigan Philharmonic. They'll go to Seattle and play with the Oregon Philharmonic Orchestra, and they are sticklers for it's got to be exactly like the records, note for note.
Right.
The vocals have to be exactly the same. Each note that you play has to be exactly the same note that Paul McCartney played. Or
It's a cover band.
And it's a cover band, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was interesting for a second, but with Mike's thing with Yellow Matter Custard, it's a little bit looser. But I think in all honesty, whenever you play a Beatles song, you kind of want to keep it as close to the original as possible, because they're just so ingrained in people's memories.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, there's always bands that'll take it to another level, but for the most part, you do what was done, and you honor it by doing it as it was done.
Right. Yeah, and that's I was going to follow that up with, if you're playing with a Yellow Matter Custard, or even like I know you're going to do some Beatles songs with Glenn Burtnick, like you mentioned. Is that intimidating to be performing those iconic songs, or is it just a bit of fun?
Well, considering it was, 40 years ago now.
Yeah, right.
It's weird because I didn't think, I never thought that at this point in my career I would be going back 40 years and playing material from when I was, in my teens.
Right.
I guess it's a testimony to how important that body of work was to people. People still go out and hear Beatle bands all the time. There's a band out of New York called the Fab Four. A bunch of buddies of mine have a Beatle cover band, and they sell out Radio City Music Hall 2 nights in a row.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
For a tribute show. That's wild.
Yeah, and it's just a Beatle tribute band,
Wow.
And then there's there's a Broadway production of a band that played in Vegas for the longest time called Rain.
Oh yeah, that came to LA recently.
Right now. They're doing a stint on Broadway.
Yeah.
So
it's funny. Yeah, it's funny. I'm not a huge cover band or tribute band guy, and especially like a Beatles tribute band, to be quite honest with you, because those songs are just, the legacy of the Beatles is so ingrained. As a music fan, it's like breathing. You know what I mean? You just know the Beatles stuff. So I don't necessarily need to see a tribute band do it. However, when I hear about something like maybe Love that's in Vegas, which I don't know if you've seen that or not, but that interests me. Or the Yellow Matter Custard interests me because of the people involved in it. I think are interesting.
Yeah.
The players involved.
Yeah, I guess it would be one thing if we got up there and with Mike and Paul and Neal and myself, and we did 45 minutes of Utopia material. It's like there's not too many people that would rush out to see that.
I would.
I'm in.
Yeah, there's 2 in the studio.
Well, you guys are in.
Yeah.
But for the most part,
I'll put in my request for Sing Ring right now.
but for the most part, it really doesn't. It doesn't strike a chord with the majority of with the mass public.
Yeah. Right.
Whereas Beatle music always, always seems to get people out of the woodwork.
That's fair. But having said that, just about a week ago in New York, and I forget the name of the club, there was a sort of surprise, at least to me, Utopia reunion of the original lineup.
Yes.
So what's the story here, and is there going to be any more of that?
Well, one of the original keyboard players in Utopia, Moogie Klingman, is unfortunately has cancer and is very, very ill. And it was billed as a benefit to help him with his treatment.
Oh, I see.
So it was kind of. It was only supposed to be a one-off. It was only supposed to be one show, and then because the first show sold so well, they decided to put a second show on. And it was the original lineup, minus a couple of guys, minus Roger Powell and Jean-Yves Labatt, who are two other keyboard players in the band in the early 70s.
Right.
I just wanted to be there because as a Utopian alumni, I felt that I'm in New York. The shows were in New York. It would be great for me to be there as well, and I had a blast doing it. But it was mostly all material from before I was in the band.
Right. Todd Rundgren's Utopia record.
Yeah, exactly. Another live and an album. I think it was all stuff from another live and maybe a couple of one other record besides that. I'm sure other people would be able to tell you better than myself.
Right.
But yeah, it was mainly because it was done as a benefit to help Moogie pay for his cancer treatment.
Gotcha.
So no talk of any other shows or anything like that, obviously.
Right? I don't know. I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard that there are going to be more shows, but you never know.
Yeah.
It's possible that there could be shows in the future.
I saw some of the YouTube footage, and it sounded amazing. I mean, you guys sounded great.
Yeah, I was shocked actually at the way everybody just remembered these complicated, 9, 10, 12-minute songs, and playing them like nobody's business.
Right.
You don't really hear that kind of music very much these days.
That's right.
So it was a gas. I mean, we had a really good time doing it.
That's great.
Very nice.
That's great.
Very nice. Also on your plate, I understand, and I don't know any of the details of this, but apparently there's a quote-unquote top secret project with Jim Steinman.
I got myself in trouble by saying that.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good. We'll exacerbate it a little bit.
I'm going to amend my statement and say that I'm doing a secret project with Jim
okay.
It's not top secret anymore.
It's not top secret.
Just secret.
But it's not for public broadcast, although hopefully sometime this year it will come. It will become apparent what it is.
Okay.
It does have to do with musical theater.
Oh, okay.
That's exciting.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, obviously the connection there, and we mentioned this last time you were on the show, but we're both huge fans of the Bat Out of Hell record. Actually, most of the Bat Out of Hell records.
Sure.
The first one especially, though.
Yeah, the first two.
I'm not sure about the third. I'm still on the fence.
Neither am I.
Yeah. No, listen, I could listen to Bat Out of Hell over and over again. I mean, that's just, it's timeless. It's unbelievable.
Jim, that's all Jim's brilliance. Jim, that was Jim's project from the get-go, and it was his vision, and he was the sole responsible person for that success. Had there not been a Jim, there would never have been a Bat Out of Hell.
Right. Have you worked with Jim after that?
Yeah.
Had you done some stuff? Okay.
Yeah. I've worked with Jim for the past 35 years on and off.
That's great.
Wow.
Well, I'm excited then to hear about this. It's been downgraded from top secret to secret project.
Yeah, secret project.
Slightly declassified.
Yeah, it's been declassified, and Donald Rumsfeld has written about it in his new book.
Of course he has. Well, we've gone from DEFCON 1 to DEFCON 2. How's that? Okay, so that feels a little better then.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So let's get back.
Yeah, we're all going to be thrown into Abu Ghraib if we mention anything about it.
Well, at least we'll be together. Just look at it like that, you know?
Yeah.
It'll be a big party. We'll talk about the Beatles and how much we hate the Black Eyed Peas. It'll be fun.
Okay, there you go.
Good times. Really quick, just back to Yellow Matter Custard. Have you guys rehearsed yet, or where are you guys at?
We have 2 days of rehearsals.
Okay.
So a lot of it is woodshedding by yourself.
Right.
A lot of it is like I have my playlist of the 25 to 30 songs that we're going to do, and it's up to me to know going in what I'm supposed to be doing on each and every song, and I'm slowly wading through it.
Wow. It's a
lot.
It's a big
lot
load
of material, really.
Yeah, absolutely. 25 to 30 tunes. That's a big night.
Yeah,
I'm in.
I guess it's a 2-hour show, an hour and a half, 2 hours. You got to remember that every song is no more than 3 minutes long.
Right? Yeah. No. Yeah. That's why. That's impressive. It's just a long night. Yeah, that's good. I'm in. I'm excited.
You could probably squeeze something off to Face the Music in there and just see if anybody's paying attention.
Yeah, probably. I probably would never know the difference.
Right. That's right. That's true. You know, Joe and I saw. We've seen most of Mike Portnoy's stuff, actually. Besides, obviously all the Dream Theater stuff, but even a lot of the side projects. And we went and saw the Who project that he did with Paul Gilbert, and it was epic. I mean, it was so good. It's really good because the thing that both I think Joe and I love about Mike is he definitely gets into it. I mean, he's a Beatles fan, he is a Who fan, and he plays those tunes like he's a fan. You know, it's really fun to watch. I mean, that's why one of the really exciting things I think about seeing the show is.
I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to working with those guys. I always look forward to working with people I've never worked with before.
Yeah. Any clues on the set? Can you give us any hints on what you're playing?
It's top secret, but not declassified.
I will tell you this. It's nothing. There's no song that we're doing that has been done before by Yellow Matter Custard.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. Well, that was one of the when I got the list to choose from, they said that we're not doing any song that we've done previously. So it's all new old Beatles.
New old Beatles.
That's pretty cool. That's good.
Yeah. I think last time around, I think they even did Free as a Bird. So any period of Beatles music was sort of was open, open for.
The set list spans, from Meet the Beatles to Abbey Road.
Gotcha.
Wow. Is Mike planning on doing a Ringo song so he can sing?
Yeah, I think so.
Excellent.
Nice.
Yeah. I love it. God, that guy's pretty cool, man. He really is, dude. I just think Portnoy's cool. I love the fact that he's such a big music fan. So he goes out and he does these shows. This is cool.
Yeah.
And truth be told, just so you know, Brad and I probably talk about Mike Portnoy on the show more than just about anything, because especially lately with all the in and out chapters in Dream Theater, there's just been like this ongoing saga of Mike Portnoy. So there's a lot to talk about, plus all the great music that he makes. So we're in. We'll be there.
Yeah. Well, you got to come to the Long Beach show.
Yeah,
we'll be there.
We will be there for sure. I'm really looking forward to it. In fact.
Yeah. Good.
What else?
Pregnant pause.
Pregnant pause. Well, as long as we're talking about some of the Utopia and some of the past projects, I just wanted to touch on this. I'm aware of the fact that the Cars are doing something now. Would you be at all involved with that?
Well, that's a good question. I have no idea.
Okay.
I have not gotten a phone call. I don't know what they're doing. I know they did a record. I know the record is completed. I don't know if they have any plans on touring. I know they did the record without a bass player.
Okay.
I guess in deference to Ben, they didn't have. I know Greg played bass on most of the stuff that needed a live bass player. But I don't know that they have any plans on touring. Do you know?
I have not heard that. Obviously, at this point, I would assume Rick Ocasek would be in if they were doing that. But even even that's just sort of a guess. But
well, no, they did the whole record. Rick wrote a whole record.
Right, but as far as a tour, I don't know if that's part of his agenda these days.
Oh, I have no idea. I really don't know. And like I said, no one's. I haven't heard any scuttlebutt about it. Put it that way.
I heard a little bit of one of the tracks. I think online. I think it was like 40 seconds of one of the tracks. It sounded great.
Sound like old
Cars?
Cars?
Yeah, it's exactly right. Sounded like the Cars. Yeah. I love the Cars. It's great.
And another one of your past projects that I just love, which was the Lights On record with Tommy Price.
Oh yeah.
You ever do anything with Tommy?
The last time I worked with Tommy was on the Scandal reunion a bunch of years back in the late 90s, early 2000 something.
So you had to play the Warrior on a nightly basis.
Well, no, we only did a few shows. We only did a few.
Let's not go crazy, Joe.
But yeah, that was the last time I worked with Tommy. I speak to him every once in a while. We share our birthdays are a day apart, and we grew up together. We've known each other since we were about 12 years old.
Right.
So we do speak, but no, we haven't. Tommy's extremely busy with Joan Jett. He still plays with the Blackhearts, and he's constantly on the road with Joan and working with Joan.
Gotcha. And also right now on your plate, you're also working on a new solo record?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm currently writing and recording a new solo record that's due out a little bit later this year.
Excellent.
Probably by the summer, if not a little before.
Good.
And it's coming along great.
Very nice. So is that going to be Rufus Wainwright influenced?
There will be some Rufus Wainwright influenced songs on there.
Nice,
yeah,
nice.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Will you tour that?
Yeah, of course I will.
Oh, great.
Yeah, whether I tour with a band or not is yet to be determined, but I definitely will be doing shows as soon as I'm done recording.
That's good. I know the last time we talked to you, you were getting ready to play. It was
the Todd Rundgren tour, but we caught you do a one-off solo show here in town, and it was tremendous. It was tremendous.
When I played at Molly Malone.
Yeah, that's right.
That was it.
In fact, we stopped by and said hello as you were unloading your gear. We were leaving. I was with my pregnant wife at the time, and she was like, "Get me home already." It was the only show. It was the only show that she agreed to go to with me while she was pregnant, and she loved every minute of it.
Oh, well, tell her I said thank you.
Yeah. By the time it was over, so was she. So, yeah, but it was great, man. I really enjoyed that. It was a very good show. Very nice.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, I hope to do some more West Coast shows. I am doing some Florida shows in March. I got about 3 or 4 shows down in Florida on around March 11th, and so I'll be down there for a week. But for the most part, I'm here working on my stuff.
Very good. Do you, if you had a preference, would you just do sort of if you could, I mean, would you just do your solo stuff? Would you just write and record your own music and go around and tour and do all that? Or would you stay sort of intermixed with all these other side projects?
Well, I kind of like working with other people. I work well with others.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
It really helps in expanding your own musical horizons when you're feeding off of other people and bouncing ideas off of other people and stuff. So I don't know that I would give that up. I certainly would rather rely on my solo material as a source of income and as a livelihood for the most part. But I enjoy working with other people like Todd and Mike and Paul. I really that really helps me to think of new stuff that I could do.
Yeah. Well, we both Joe and I commented when we saw that you were doing the Yellow Matter Custard just how great that was and how probably a perfect fit that you will be. So we're very excited to see that for sure.
Yeah, I would not at all be surprised to find out that Mike Portnoy is going to tell you at some point that he was a huge fan of Deface the Music, because he's
really?
he's got those kind of musical tastes where he reaches way back into some great but kind of obscure music and goes, wow, I was a champion of this record.
Yeah.
So that would not surprise me.
I just hope I do the Beatles stuff justice. I mean, that stuff is not easy to do.
Right. Well, we got faith in you.
It sounds really simple. It sounds like it's a piece of cake, but once you get up there and start playing that stuff, especially for a 4-piece band, you discover just how intricate and complicated it really is.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. I think that was the beauty of the Beatles, right? They made that stuff sound very simple.
Yeah,
but it sure wasn't. Yeah,
it sure did.
Very progressive. Very progressive.
Like Singering. All right, we won't go there. We won't go there right now. Yeah. So if any of our listeners want to get the latest news on your solo work, the record in progress, and tour dates, where should they go?
Best place to go for information on what I'm doing and what's coming up is kasiminfo.com. That's KASIMINFO.com.
Okay.
Kasiminfo.com, and then they can always go to my official website, which is kasimsultan.com.
Very good.
Either one of those places, you'll be able to find out what I'm doing. But for the most part, Kasim Info gets updated a lot more regularly than my website.
Okay. What else can we plug for you? You got Yellow Matter Custard.
Well, let's see.
Let's go down the list.
I'm doing... Did I explain the concept of my cover for my new CD to you guys last time I was on?
No. What do you got?
Oh, I'm doing this great thing where I'm soliciting photos from all the fans. Because what I'm going to do is a photo montage, a mosaic of all the fans' photos making up my portrait.
Oh, that's great.
It's great.
That's very cool.
Little tiny pictures of the fans that will go into making up what is the cover of the CD, which will be my picture on the cover of the CD, but made up of all pictures of the fans.
That's great.
And if they want to join that particular, if they want to subscribe to that cover, they can go to kasimsultan.com/theproject.
Okay.
Nice.
Very cool.
It is as yet untitled.
Nice. So if I take a picture of myself with a nice suntan, I could actually be the twinkle in your eye.
You might very well be.
I have no idea what you say about that. That is the weirdest thing I think you've ever said. I don't even know what that means.
I'm here all week.
I think he has a little man crush.
I was just going to say, there's something going on there. There's a little Rufus Wainwright in him. I'm not sure what's happening.
A little Rufus Wainwright in us all.
Whoa, that's right. So it's funny. Joe and I commented when we walked out of that show that we saw you at Molly Malone's. What a party it felt like. It felt like you were playing almost a private party for a bunch of your friends. It's pretty cool.
Well, that's how I usually run my solo shows. It's very it's very like we're all here for the same thing.
Yeah.
Let's have fun. I don't take myself very seriously. I'm very self-deprecating,
right.
And I take the piss out of myself all the time.
Yeah.
And I pick on the audience. Like if I see somebody getting up in between songs, I'll ask them where they're going.
Right. Well, I'm glad you left my wife alone.
Where do you think you're going? I'm not done.
Yeah.
Oh, I just have to go to the bathroom.
Right.
Sit down.
Well, hurry back.
Okay, we'll wait.
Right. It's funny. I remember you talking a lot to the audience. It was just it was a very fun, good vibe in there. So I look forward. That'd be fun. I look forward to a solo show. That'd be great.
Yeah, for sure.
Very nice. And last thing I wanted to ask you about before we let you go is, what is My Record Fantasy Camp?
Well, I didn't know what it was until I did it. And what it is basically is this group of people, this group of businessmen in Sacramento had this idea to put together a camp. I guess it's most associated with the rock and roll fantasy camps, if you want to take it to that level,
right?
Where you get a bunch of people to pony up a few $1,000s, and they can go and spend 3 days with their favorite artist. And in this particular case, in this format, you got to record with Todd, Brent Bourgeois, and who else was there? It was Todd and Brent. And oh God, I'm losing my mind. There was some other artist there, I know.
Right.
Mickey Hart was there
Oh,
as
okay.
well. And
He's forgettable. Just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I'm
he's
kidding.
a sweethart.
I'm just,
he's a
I'm
good
just
guy.
kidding.
I like Mickey, and he's an amazing singer. But in any case, so there was about 30 people, and Todd auditioned bass players, drummers, guitar players, singers, and took the best people out of the 30, and allowed them to record or to do an overdub on his new record.
That's huge.
Really cool.
I think that's one step better than the Rock and Roll Fantasy
Yeah,
Camp, because
probably.
you've got a document of your time instead of just doing a quick club gig where you're going to do a Cheap Trick cover for 4 minutes.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. I think Mickey Dolenz did the one prior to this one, and I guess I don't know who they're doing after this, but yeah, it was. I went into it with a little bit of trepidation. I really didn't know what to expect, but I had a great time.
Very nice.
And there was some really good campers. They really good players, and there was this one guy from Brazil, but what was it? Oh, Daniel Isbeck. He was amazing. He just knew every single Utopia song that has ever been recorded. He would just start playing it better than I remembered it.
Wow,
And,
that's huge.
yeah, he was a great, and he wound up on the record.
Yeah.
A couple of drummers wound up on the record. One drummer wound up on the record, and a bass player, and a bunch of singers.
What's the average age of these guys? Are they older guys or younger guys?
They were mostly between 30 and 50.
Oh, okay. All right. That's cool.
That's fun.
Yeah, that's really
fun.
cool. Absolutely.
Very nice.
If I could play something besides the spoons, I'd be in.
Well, you know what? You could probably get in just by playing the spoons.
Oh, sign me up.
Yeah,
Nice.
there
All
was a
right.
guy there playing penny whistle. Wound up on the record.
All right. Well, I'll be the human clap track. How's that?
There you go.
All right. There
we can always use that.
That's right.
Very nice. Well, we know it's late for you on the East Coast. We want to thank you for joining us again, and we're going to be looking forward to the Yellow Matter Custard Show. We're going to see you in Long Beach on the 25th.
Yes.
And when we start hearing word about the new record, we will be playing it on the show. So thanks again for joining us, and have a great night.
Guys, thanks so much for having me on. It's always a great pleasure to be on your show, and I have a blast talking to you guys.
Thanks, Kasim. We really appreciate it, man.
Okay, and I'll see you on the 25th.
Absolutely. All right. Take care.
Okay, man.
Good night. I'm pretty excited for that show.
Oh, yeah.
25, 30 Beatles tunes. I'm pretty in. Portnoy, Gilbert, Sultan, and Neal Morse.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a pretty good deal, right?
It's going to be interesting, and I can understand it, because Neal Morse is not necessarily, if you're not in modern prog circles, he's not really a household name.
Yeah.
Paul Gilbert, big guitarist from a big band in the 80s.
Racer X.
Portnoy, he's everywhere.
You're talking about Racer X.
Yes, Racer X.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Paul Gilbert of
Racer X.
Yeah, that's the guy. But Neal Morse, not necessarily household name. So it'll be very interesting when Kasim meets Neal for the first time. I didn't even want to spring on him the whole he's born again, and these 2 and 3 disc epic master prog works to Jesus and
evangelical CDs.
Yeah, it's an interesting mix. But at the end of the day, he loves some Beatles just like the rest of them. So it should be a great show.
What do you think the chances are?
Yeah. Here we go. Here we go. Go ahead.
By the end of the 3-show run, all right, by the end of the 2 rehearsals, that Portnoy's got a project in mind for him and Kasim.
Oh, probably.
Right?
He's always thinking of the next project.
Because it's not like he's got a band to go back to.
Oh, ouch.
You know what I'm saying?
That's all I'm saying.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised.
I was delighted when we first heard Kasim's name mentioned in Yellow Matter Custard circles, because it is maybe it wasn't the obvious choice, and yet it makes perfect sense, because he's from Utopia, certainly from a similar background,
right,
and love of the Beatles. It all makes sense. It's going to be a good fit.
And a great player.
Amen.
Just a really interesting kind of deal. I mean, it's very exciting. For all the Mike solo projects are usually pretty good to begin with.
Yeah.
You know, with the exception of one, which would be
Cygnus and the Sea Monsters,
which is the one that, of course, you and I would be groveling. For, and that was really not the best.
It wasn't. It just felt like it was thrown together. But yeah, the Zeppelin one was epic.
Who was the singer? Who was the singer on that Cygnus? Was that Daniel McMaster? Is that his name?
From Bonham,
away, right?
From Bonham,
right? The guy that died.
Yeah.
He
just couldn't pull off the Getty vocals.
No.
But when he did the Zeppelin cover band, it was great.
Very good.
When he did the Who with Gary Sharon, it was epic.
Really good.
And I'm going to play you right now a quick song from the last time he got together with Yellow Matter Custard.
Cool.
Which means that this is a song they won't be playing on the current tour because they're not repeating anything from last time around. But here is Good Morning.
To save his life, call his wife in. Nothing to say, but what a day has your boy been. Nothing to do, it's up to you. I've got nothing to say, but it's okay. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Going to work, don't want to go, feeling low down. Headed for home, you start to roam, now you're in town. Everybody knows there's nothing doing. Everything is closed, it's like a ruin. Everyone you see is half asleep, and you're on your own, you're in the street. After a while you start to smile, now you feel cool. Then you decide to take a walk by the old school. Nothing has changed, it's still the same. I've got nothing to say, but it's okay. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Everyone in town, it's 5 o'clock. Everything around, it's lickety dark. Everyone you see is hell of life. It's time for tea and meet the wife. Somebody needs to know the time bad that I'm here. Watching the skirts, you start to flirt. Now you're in gear. Go to a show, you hope she goes. I got nothing to say, but it's okay. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning.
We're back.
We're back. It's good stuff. You know what time it is?
Yes.
Hey!
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Brad.
And welcome back to Used Bin Radio. Do you have a business?
Yes.
Are you in a band?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have some naked photos of your mom that that's right, you want to post on the internet?
Got some of your mom.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal with Beckham's Balls. For only pennies a day, you can have your very own website. Beckham'sBallsOnJoe'sChin.com. Because thanks to our partnership with GoDaddy.com, we can hook you up and we can get you started. You think it's hard? It's not.
Don't get me started.
It's simple, Joe.
Oh, it's so easy.
It's simple, like Simple Minds. Just check the complete list of coupon codes at purerockradio.net/NotAxel.GoDaddy. Enter coupon code POD167 at the time of purchase, and you'll save
10%
on all web hosting packages. That was pretty good.
Thank you.
It's so easy. GoDaddy.com offers lots of free tools to build your site and get you started. And by using coupon code
POD167,
you'll be supporting Used Bin Radio and our pals
at Pure Rock pureRockRadio.net. Yay!
So here's the deal.
Give me
Check
the deal.
out the complete list of coupon codes at purerockradio.net /
not Fergie,
GoDaddy, and say hi to your mom for
me.
us.
And us.
And there you have it.
And there you have it.
Wow, I feel very weird tonight.
Yeah?
I do.
How weird do you feel?
I don't know. But let's get to the news, why don't we?
Well,
That'll loosen us up a little bit.
You know what that means?
I do.
I gotta change the track to this. Hey! It's my second hey of the segment. Hey! And it's always on the same pitch.
That's true.
Hey, boys and girls! It's time for the music news with Rachel, the Minimum Princess.
Hi, Rach. How are you, young lady?
I'm well. How are you guys?
I'm doing well. What's going on with you? We've not really heard from you at all tonight.
Baby was in a quarter.
A baby was in a corner. You need
no one puts baby in the corner.
Hold on. This tune's for you, by the way, Mama. Hang on 1 second. Hang with us for a sec, Rach. Do you know who this is?
Sounds very familiar. It'll come to me in a moment. It's Fish. I'm trying to remember which record this is off of. Is this off Bellini Days?
No.
Is this off Wow. Is this off Rain Gods with Zippos?
Oh, no. Dude, you've got one more guess and then you're over. You will turn in your Fish fan club card at the door.
Moving Targets. All right, what about...
last guess, Joe.
What about Field of Crows?
Well done.
Thank you very much.
You've redeemed yourself.
Some fairly obscure Fish albums from the late 90s there.
This is a good tune.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really like
absolutely.
All right, Rach, how are you, young lady? Sorry about that. Rach, are you a Fish fan? Not Fish with a PH, but Fish, former Marillion singer Fish.
You know what? I haven't really listened to any of the Fish with an F.
I could hook you up.
You know what? Go ahead, hook me up.
I'm just saying, I got all of it.
Hi.
There you go. Very good. Well, if you're not a big Fish fan, what have you been listening to? What are you doing here?
Okay, well, actually, I've read in Classic Rock Presents Prog Rock.
Yes.
And I've read this in another magazine. I can't remember which one, but there's some reviews on a band it's a progressive rock band called Hammers of Misfortune. And so they're really underrated and kind of off the radar. Mm-hmm. They're from San Francisco, and they've actually been around since 2001. So I tasted a little bit of music.
Wow.
A little bit of everything, actually, throughout their catalog. And I have to say, they're really trying to kind of find their sound. Every album is very different, but you can see where it's going, where they're trying to really find themselves.
How many records do they have?
They have 4 albums, wow. And they're working on their 5th album.
Okay.
Currently, that should be released soon. But let me tell you about them.
Okay.
Because I wrote a mini review.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll start with 2001. It's an album called The Bastard, and this actually was my favorite one. It kind of... Think of like early Black Sabbath vibe meets like 70s progressive rock. Meets some of the vocals is black metal, metal-ish-esque.
Is it Cookie Monster?
It's not really Cookie Monster. Think maybe Opeth. Maybe think Opeth, but maybe like the diet soda of Opeth. On vocals.
It's quite a description.
I just figured I would throw this in real quick. Do you know I actually have a compilation CD that I made myself for listening to in the car of all my favorite Opeth songs with none of the Cookie Monster vocals, and I call it All Milk, No Cookies. I just wanted to mention that.
Is it the diet soda of Opeth?
It's the low fat.
Dude, I'm wrapping my head around the diet soda of Opeth. It's a very serious description right there.
Sure it is.
Okay,
Well, then
done.
you
I
go
like
into
it.
the next album, which is a 2003, the August Engine, and that one is very Opeth.
Okay.
I mean,
Cookie Monster vocals?
mixed
or no?
with I felt like a little bit of Iron Maiden mixed in there. Again, they're trying to kind of find their sound. It seems like there's a lot of people that have a lot of musical interest and a musical taste and are kind of throwing it in there, but it somehow works.
Got it.
So then we'll go into the Locust Years, which is 2005. There's a female vocalist, very Mastodon. Think Mastodon.
With a female vocal?
With the vocals kind of maybe a System of the Down.
Wow.
I know.
These guys are all over the place.
I
It's
know,
cool.
but that's when I'm listening to it, I'm like, how
It's
would
like-
you describe it? I would say Dream Theater, Marillion came to mind.
Sort of like Pepsi
It's
Light.
kind of even some of the songs are a little folky, like Simon and Garfunkel. There was a song where I'm like, oh, this is totally Simon and Garfunkel.
That's their Diet Tab album.
That is
it's
a lot
really,
going on.
It's
Yeah, the
really
Diet
all
Tab
over the
album.
place, but
It's like Fresca.
do yourself a favor, check it out, because I think that now they're getting tighter with the more recent albums that I'm hearing. I'm looking forward to the next album. It actually left me curious and asking for more. So
Well, that's the idea.
so check it out. Hammers of Misfortune.
Okay.
My favorite is the first album, which is The Bastard.
Okay. Not like the Motley Crue song "Bastard."
Well, not like you, the bastard.
But I'm bummed.
Wow, that's sort of like the Pepsi Max of the used bin.
All right. Okay.
That's pretty heavy, Rach.
Yeah, and then there was one more album that I kind of glossed over. It's Gazpacho. I've talked about them before. They have a new album coming out called Missa Tropos, and it's very Muse-like, and it's very ethereal. So if you're in a mellow mood and you just kind of relax and go somewhere, it's like that atmospheric type of music, and it is progressive rock. And they're from Norway.
Oh, yeah, I've seen them support Marillion before, and I think is this one of Marillion's records? This one, the new record by.
I'm not sure if they put it out on Racket Records, if that's what you mean, but they've even played one of the conventions before, one of the Marillion conventions. So yeah, I've seen these guys before. Very, very cool band. In fact, the first time, this is just weird trivia, the first time I was aware of them, the singer of the band, who is actually a huge Marillion fan, played one of the early conventions during the Swap the Band segment, where fans got to get up on stage with the band, and he sang Afraid of Sunlight with the band. And it wasn't until after that I realized he was in a band of his own.
I don't know about the name Gazpacho though. Couldn't have gone with Goulash or Borscht.
Well, that's a prog rock band for you, band name.
That's a good point.
Hey, Rach, I just got an email from Hermie who said he forgot to say hi to you tonight when he called.
Oh, hi, Hermie.
But he wanted to know how you smelled.
How do I smell?
She smells good.
I smell delicious.
Smells a little Diet Pepsi, if you ask me. It's pretty good. No? Okay, a little Coca-Cola.
There we go.
All right.
No diet.
Feeling California.
I checked out the Fozzy, too.
Oh,
You're
good.
talking about Fozzy, and I'd have to say, I was surprised.
Right?
Pleasantly surprised.
Right.
Because I had seen him when he was first talking about joining a band years and years ago, and I'm like, what a joke. And he's really...
It's pretty good.
He's really come around. I mean, when I was watching him, I'm like, wow, that's kind of like a Chris Cornell-esque, Ozzy-ish, like Lane Staley-ish. It's like late '80s, early '90s rock.
Yeah.
So
I was surprised. Dude can sing a little bit.
Yeah, not bad for a guy. Sounds like a Muppet character, right?
Fozzy. That's true. That's true. Why did they call themselves Fozzy? Probably because of that. Right? Wasn't that the name of the character, Fozzy?
Yeah, Fozzy Bear?
Yeah. That's probably it. He's a badass wrestler, though, Chris Jericho. I'm just letting you know right now.
He trademarked the Lion Tamer.
Dude, trademarked the Lion Tamer. He's a bad boy.
He is.
Yeah, he's held, what did he hold? The Intercontinental Championship and the Heavyweight Championship belt. Just so you know. Is that important news?
And now Fozzy is playing at Raw. Thanks, Vince McMahon.
That's
Thank you.
Well, I'm impressed. I like that Fozzy band. It's pretty good. Have you heard of them, Steven?
I haven't. I gotta go check them out.
Yeah, it's pretty metal.
Now, don't go straight to balls to the wall because you will be disappointed.
Wait, they have an album called Balls to the Wall?
No, they covered except.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. No. Go just buy get the new record, Chasing the Grail. Okay, it's good.
I was going to say that name's been taken. I don't know if they're aware of it.
Sort of like Bastard. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Someone should call their band Beckham's Balls to the Wall. And you guys
It wouldn't be to the wall.
Oh,
I'll
my.
tell you where Beckham's balls would be.
Oh, my.
All right, Rach, let's get to work here. Let's get on with the news, shall we?
We shall.
What is happening?
Well, the one thing that you guys didn't discuss about Rush was they're remixing their 2002 album, Vapor Trails. And Alex Lifeson actually commented on this, and he said that the band was unhappy with the production and that they should have
We all were.
Yeah, exactly. And they should have taken more time over the record. And it's not going to be re-recorded, but it will be remixed. So anything's better than what it is right now.
Yeah, and I think we've said this on the show. I think it's a fairly widespread, I won't say necessarily the majority of Rush fans, but I'd say a lot of Rush fans have commented that sonically that just it wasn't what it could have been, and we gave it a pass because we were just so happy that album even came to exist. So if they're going to revisit it now and give it a spit shine, I'm all for it.
Can I just say, I think that is such an underrated Rush record. I know a lot of people don't care for it, but I think it has some strong tunes. I think it's certainly stronger than Snakes and Arrows, to be honest. And I think the most underrated track on that is Freeze, Fear Part 4.
Fear Part 4.
Man, that kicks ass, that one.
I don't think I would disagree with you. I think it was partially the sort of one-dimensional production for me that made it difficult to really give it repeated listens and really get under the hood. That said, there were always a couple of standout tracks, and The Stars Look Down is just brilliant. Just brilliant. So I'm really looking forward to, I know it's not going to sound massively different, but it will sound better. And so it will probably get a little bit more play around my house.
Maybe Alex will slip into the studio late at night and add a couple of solos.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, wasn't that odd when you first heard that record and you realized there was no guitar solos from Alex Lifeson on a Rush record?
But his guitar work's just amazing in terms of the riff and sort of the textures that he provides. So, but that was, very much of its time. You remember that was when, new metal was hot and no one was doing guitar solos, and then maybe there's sort of a conscious effort to, not to do the soloing thing, which was very out of vogue at the time.
Well, Joe, I have to say, you absolutely just nailed it. I really couldn't even...
With what?
With your take on Vapor Trails. That's exactly... It's 100% right.
Thank you.
Even with The Stars Look Down.
Yeah, I love the song.
It's an absolute standout track in their catalog.
Absolutely.
Not just
love
on the
that
record,
song.
but in the catalog.
Yeah.
It's an absolute standout track. And the fact that they just made that record...
The fact that it even exists.
It could have just been hiss. It could have just been a bunch of hissing. And it would have been, to know that band is back and going to tour. That was good enough for us at the time. And this is sort of the bonus thing.
Wait. Are we listening to Enchant?
Yes.
Wow, look at you pulling out the obscurities.
Yes.
Enchant, ladies and gentlemen.
Dude, we went from Soundgarden's Face Pollution to Enchant. Pretty cool. I like it.
This guy definitely had a sort of Lifeson guitar sound.
Oh, yeah. For sure. Yeah.
But
I like this band a lot. There's something weird about this band, though, I'll say, that is like... It almost it pulls me into a trance, and I don't know what it is, because the choruses don't really stand out. They're not these glaringly great choruses, and the verses aren't these amazing well phrased verses, but there's something about the two together, the way they put these songs together, that I can't stop listening to. And I know that sounds weird. There was a band like that for me. It was called they were called the Catherine Wheel. If you remember them. Yeah, and it sort of, for whatever reason, it sort of reminds me of that, where some of the choruses were great for the Catherine Wheel, but for the most part, there was just something that was really I couldn't turn them off once I turned them on. And this band, for me, feels a lot like that.
Nice. This is another band, by the way, who have sort of a Marillion connection. We've mentioned a few tonight, Gazpacho and Jadis, who Steve Rothery had produced. Steve Rothery actually produced this band's first record. In fact, the drummer and the drummer's wife were both part of Steve Rothery's Wishing Tree side project. So, Marillion connections everywhere tonight.
Yeah.
And you too can find a better way of... Never mind.
Rach, what else going on in the news, Rach?
Well, Mastodon are to release a live CD, DVD, excuse me, in mid-March, titled Live at the Aragon, filmed at the Aragon Ballroom.
Live at the Michelle.
In Chicago. On the band's last tour, it was filmed on the band's last tour, which they played the entire album of Crack the Sky. So, you got to go out and get it.
That's pretty good, because we missed that show.
That was the show that you both missed, and I'd have to say that, the Palladium is not known for having good sound, which it didn't have the best sound, but they sounded great. They put on a great show. They're amazing. So I can't see this foresee this going wrong.
I'm glad they didn't do it at the Palladium. They did it at the Michelle, and I'm excited to see that show. I will absolutely watch that for 100%. I'm down.
I'm in. I love Crack the Sky, so I'm curious to see what it sounds like live, and I'm curious to see who's on line 4.
Who's in the Used Bin and where are you calling us from?
It's Mr. All Media Reviews, Kyle.
Hey, Kyle, what's happening?
What's up?
Kyle, what are you up to?
Oh, man, you guys touched on a bunch of things. I did email you guys about the Beach Boys Smile Sessions thing possibly coming out.
I figured, yes. Why don't you go ahead and talk about it? Did you have that story, actually?
I just read the story. My friend John was telling me that they've been promising this thing for 45 years or something like that, or whatever, 40 years. But if we get the actual version of Smile on a recording with the actual Beach Boys, it would be interesting to hear, I guess.
I have it. Let me just say.
Well, it's been bootlegged.
Yeah, let me just say that I spent 6 months putting it together. I obsessed over the Smile period. The band that I was in the mid '90s, a band called Mud Pie, were very much influenced by Beach Boys, Jellyfish, very retro sort of harmony sound. And I became very obsessed not only with Brian Wilson and Pet Sounds, but specifically the Smile sessions and the madness that ensued and went through his head. I spent 15 years or whatever collecting and tracking down every session, every vocal take, every cowbell hit, every note that I could find of those sessions, threw it all up together on the mixer and spent 6 months putting together the finished product. I was delighted when he finally got around to recording it a few years ago to hear that how he envisioned Smile, although this was a re-recording from scratch and not the original recordings. It was pretty much identical to what I had put together as far as the mixes and the sequencing and everything else. So it was a real labor of love.
When you had that author on, didn't you? You mentioned the album.
Yes.
Kind of went through the whole thing, and then eventually when Brian recorded the album with his band, it was like the same thing.
Yeah. Right. So
let me ask this, because I'm certainly not any authority like Joe would be on this, but what is going to be the difference between the Capitol version of Smile and the Brian Wilson Presents Smile?
My take, or what I've been hearing about it, is I don't think they're going to make any attempt to put together a finished product from the 60s recordings. I think it's going to be a box set, 3-4 discs or so, of all of these little takes, which I've got bootleg recordings of, but all the different vocal takes, all the different arrangements and instrumental takes.
None of that's come out before?
A few bits and pieces have come out on, there was
Smiley Smile.
Smiley Smile had some of the same titles, but they were totally different recordings of some of those songs. Like one of my favorites, the ballad "Wonderful" from the Smile sessions. The version that was on Smiley Smile was recorded totally from scratch in I want to say 67, as opposed to the 66 version that he did for Smile, and it was much more of an avant-garde sort of silly take on the melody, and not the actual really beautiful song that he put together in 66 and then finally recorded when he did the finished Smile product. But there was a lot of that, because a lot of those songs did surface in different versions, different formats, and not as as epic and produced and as genuinely stunning as they were for that period. There was something special about that period of time for him during Pet Sounds and Smile before he lost his mind, and he did.
Wasn't the reason I asked that question, I thought for whatever reason on that big Pet Sounds box set that came out, wasn't there some of that stuff on there?
No, because that was all the outtakes and sessions and recordings from Pet Sounds.
Okay.
And the only overlap was I think they put a couple of takes for Good Vibrations, which was the first song that he started working on for Smile. So Smile was not on Pet Sounds. Just for anybody who's interested in the back catalog or whatever, the Beach Boys. Good Vibrations was the first time they had spent that much time and that much money on recording a single track, and it was unprecedented at the time, and it was just a little glimpse of what might have happened had Smile come out in '67. They started working right after that on Heroes and Villains, another thing from Smile, but then all of the other epics, things like Surf's Up and Cabin Essence and things that are legendary tracks to Beach Boys and Brian Wilson fans, didn't get really the final version until he re-recorded them in whatever it was, 2004, 2005.
Right. 2004, I believe.
Yeah. So, it's something I think it'll be more of a curiosity for the diehards. I would really be shocked if they made any kind of effort to piece together and sequence an actual finished Smile from those sessions. I think it's going to be sort of what they did with the Pet Sounds box set and put together all of the bits and pieces so that you can make up your own mind. But I think even in Brian's head,
cash call basically.
Yeah, exactly. I think even in Brian's head, the final version is the one he finally recorded in 2004.
Well, apparently this is to celebrate some type of anniversary for the Beach Boys. That's what this is, kicking off the anniversary. But can I just make mention that we're listening to Nectar right now?
Listening to Nectar and talking about Brian Wilson.
2002 at Nearfest.
Dude, hold on.
Their fan base are like Grateful Dead fans.
I bet. I love this.
I was at Nearfest in 2002, and like 2/3 of the crowd were Nectar fans. They're wearing Nectar shirts.
That's great.
It was pretty crazy.
I want a Nectar shirt.
What was the average age of a Nectar fan at Nearfest?
300 and what?
Probably early, mid-40s, maybe 50s, early,
So,
listen to this funk.
2002 had Nectar, Caravan, and Steve Hackett. It was like the retro, My friend John didn't go to it. He wishes he had.
It's like
those three names.
It's like the Return to Canterbury Festival or something.
Yeah,
that's pretty large. Oh, that's good.
They didn't look like Steve Howe, did they?
What?
They didn't look like Steve Howe, did they?
I don't remember. They did have
no Gollums in the audience.
They had a British woman doing reports about this for like the DVDs or something, and she was interviewing all the fans and everything. It was cool, but awesome. I could mention you guys were playing in Chant. Chant's a band that I really like.
Yeah.
And I actually saw them at that Nearfest.
Nice.
So I had to call in because you guys were playing them.
I don't even know if, to be honest, I don't even know if they're still around anymore. It was very kind of quiet.
Yeah, they're not. They're kind of in. They did play at Prague Power USA at the pre-show midweek mayhem deal in 2009. So I guess they're still. You could say they're still on together, but they're not really. Their last record came out in 2004, I believe.
Yeah, that's probably right around when I saw them last. I think they were playing with Spock's Beard, and I was so excited to finally get to see them because I had a lot of their records. But and they're not, and it's not like some band from some obscure part of the world. We're here in L.A. and they're from Northern California, and I just don't think they played a lot of live shows.
Obscure parts of the world like Canada? No,
like Norwegian Prague.
Oh, gotcha. All right, I'm with you. Steven's been wanting to talk here for a minute. I'd like to turn the mic to Steven, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Stephen Humphreys.
I was just gonna dovetail back actually to the Beach Boys.
Okay.
So there's been a lot of talk about this 40th anniversary, and what are the chances, do you think, of a Beach Boys reunion? And do we care if that happens?
I would boycott it. As a huge Beach Boy fan, I would absolutely boycott it. And the reason I would boycott it is because
tell us how you really feel, John.
Oh yeah, for 30-something years, Mike Love has done everything in his power to belittle and mentally damage my hero Brian Wilson. And now that the tables are turned and Brian Wilson could, fill arenas and the Hollywood Bowl and play these epic records in their entirety with amazing musicians to crowds who really care and want to listen. Meanwhile, Mike is doing the county fair, playing Fun, Fun, Fun and all the car and girl songs from the early 60s. And now that the tables are finally turned, I hope he does not get a bone thrown in his way. That said, there's no Dennis Wilson, there's no Carl Wilson. It would be a shell.
No Charles Manson.
There's no Charles Manson. It would hardly be a Beach Boys reunion without him.
Do you think Mike Love's living off his nephew's basketball career, his professional basketball career? Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
His nephew is actually made the All-Star team this year.
Really?
Kevin Love. Yeah, the guy's an unbelievable. What's that?
He's leading the NBA in rebounding.
Yeah, he's a great player. He played for you, went to UCLA, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
So maybe he could sing Kokomo at the halftime show or something, And
which one? Kevin Love or Mike Love?
Mike.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah, that's the big gig he's got to look forward to.
That being said, if Kevin Love joined the Beach Boys with Brian Wilson and Mike Love was in the audience with a tambourine and no microphone, would you go?
No. If Mike Love is in the mix, I'm out.
Okay, if Mike Love was pushed way down deep in the mix, like way far down in the mix, sort of like the drums on the Snakes and Arrows record, are you in?
No, if Mike Love is in the mix, I'm out.
How about you throw in John Stamos?
Yeah, now you're talking. Throw John Stamos on drums. He's toured with the Beach Boys before.
Rachel, is he handsome?
I don't think so.
What was his name? Uncle Jesse, right? Uncle Jesse.
With a great haircut.
Had the best mullet, though.
What if Mike Love atoned by throwing a custard pie in the face of Sheryl Crow? Would you go then?
Wait, say that again?
I say, what if Mike Love atoned for the past 40 years by throwing a custard pie in the face of Sheryl Crow? Joe, would you go then?
It would have to be a Yellow Matter custard pie, and then I'd consider it.
I would say that a custard pie would not do enough damage to what she deserves. How about that, Joe?
If it had a brick in it, perhaps.
a brick with an M80 in it.
I'm just saying.
All right, Kyle, this is ridiculous. What else is happening? What else do you have going on? We got to get to the news at some point.
I want to give props to Rachel because she just mentioned this band that I've never heard of, and I was just doing a little research on one of the message boards I know, that this Hammers of Misfortune. And there's another group that they're connected to. Some of the members in there are called Slow Fag or something like that.
Slow Fag. I'm not touching.
That just means no.
I'm not touching that one.
Oh no, I can tell you what it means. That just means that they smoke cigarettes very slowly.
Ah, okay. It's an English thing.
It's an English term.
But me being the black metal, progressive metal, extreme metal fan, I'm one to try to eat some of this stuff up because some of my friends that have similar taste in metal, at least, are going apeshit over it on some of the message boards. So I got to give props to Rachel on that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, she is the metal warrior princess, Kyle.
Yep.
That's true, yeah, and she likes black metal, and her and I probably would have a lot more to talk about in terms of metal than you guys.
Well, then why don't we let you guys talk?
Yeah, go for it.
You know what, why don't we just get out of the way? Go ahead. Kyle, Rachel, Kyle.
Should we correspond on the usebin.com website?
We could. I have been posting on there.
Why don't you make a separate little subject, a separate topic, and you two can communicate there, and we'll be like little voyeurs, and we'll watch.
We'll watch the forum as it unfolds.
I'm in.
Kyle,
are you in?
That makes sense.
Okay.
Except you guys got to figure out how to get the edit feature working, because if you make a typo, you're pretty much screwed on that. Like on Facebook or something.
Yeah. Well, the whole idea is to make fun of you when you guys can't spell.
We don't make typos though. We don't make typos, so it's not an issue.
So which one of you is making the first move?
I'll make the first move. I'll make it easy.
Wow. Kyle, she's aggressive.
Wow.
Okay.
Whoa. Okay, so Rachel's going to make the first move, and when will you be doing this, Rachel? Because I want to know when to start checking in.
I'll do. How about on the weekend or Friday?
No, that's too late.
Too late?
Could you do it tonight?
No.
Okay, could you do it tomorrow?
No, I can't.
Okay, Kyle, you have to make the first move.
I can do it on Thursday.
Okay, she'll do it on Thursday, so you have to be prepared. Keep checking back to usebin.com all of Thursday.
And as long as we're on the topic of checking the Usebin, if anybody's been wondering, we did get a few emails about the podcasts, and Rich at the Mothership is still catching up on some of the podcasts. I think we just got the Rob Grad and Kevin Runchin episode up last night. So we're 2 weeks behind. And the Matt Scannell is also up right now, which it's a fan favorite right now. It's a slow burn, soon to be a classic.
A little bit. No, it's not a slow burn. It's a fast burn, but it's quickly took the place of Beckham's Nuts on your chin. So we're moving right along. Kyle, what else you got, man? We got to get to the news, pal. Anything else?
I mean, you know, you read some of the Portnoy news that he's got like 2 or 3 more projects.
Yes, the Russell Allen project we saw, which
Russell Allen, and he's got something else in mind. I mean, he's sort of been not really giving specific details on those, but he said the Russell Allen was not the project that he's been talking about with Eddie Trunk.
Oh, okay. Well, I have no interest in the Russell. I mean, that's not true. I have interest in the Russell Allen project just because I want to hear it, but it really doesn't make me excited for sure.
I'm still waiting for the Portnoy, Petrucci, Rudess, Labrie, Young project. Is that going to happen? It would be great if those guys could like all get together with their busy schedules and like do something together. That would be crazy.
Well, those other guys are recording now.
That's right. They're in a band.
Kyle, we got to let you go, pal.
All right.
This is ridiculous.
Talk to you guys next week or something.
Kyle, was this ridiculous tonight? I mean, there's really just no.
We're all over the place
tonight.
We're all over the place.
This has been good. It's always good to listen to you guys, no matter calling in. And Steven sounds cool, and you guys are still on your A game.
Oh, nice. Thanks. Thanks.
I don't feel like it tonight for some reason.
We're going to be looking forward to seeing the unfolding drama between you and Rachel on the forum.
We'll see. I see if you could metal knowledge me or whatever the hell that's supposed to be. I don't know.
This is great. Go ahead, Stephen.
This dispenser between Kyle and Rachel is sounding less like Usbin Forum and more and more like Penthouse Forum, if you ask me.
Wow.
No.
Wow. And with that, Kyle?
Like, girls that like metal are rare, especially extreme metal. It's like girls that can handle the screaming vocals, so that's why there's a reason to talk to her. You know?
Yeah.
You need to like tell her friends, like, see, this is why you can like vocals like this. The music's so good.
Right. No, I agree with you. She's a rare commodity. You know?
Well, you guys would be thankful what you guys, the presence you have in her involvement in the studio and the show.
Yes, and besides the fact that she smells good and she makes, Joe and I, who, like, by the time we get out of this studio, we stink from sweat. You know what I mean? So she smells good, she's smart, she's good looking. What else can you ask for?
She has a ring on her finger, so...
Well, she does have a ring on her finger. That's true, and her husband is one of the greatest guys in the world. There is that.
One lucky guy, that's for sure.
He is a lucky guy. All right, Kyle. Well, thank you so much, man. We appreciate the call as always. You are a champion. You are a man among men, and I will look forward to this should we say pent up banter that will take place in the usebin.com forums this week. All right, buddy. Take care. Good night, pal.
Good night.
All right, Rach, what else you got in the news?
Oh my God! You're gonna have one angry Chris on your hands.
I just said he's one of the greatest guys I know. It's really the truth. I mean that wholeheartedly.
Well, that is the truth, but
yeah, he's one of the best guys I know, and he is solely responsible for everything you see at usedbin.com, for the creation of it, for the upkeep of it. He's absolutely responsible for all of that.
And the only bad thing I could say about Chris is that he's not listening to the show tonight because he's probably listening to the Nina Gordon CD somewhere.
That's probably true. Oh man, I'm waiting for the text I'm about to get.
Yeah, your phone would be blowing up
pretty quick. All right, Rach, what else we got in the news?
Okay, well, AC/DC frontman Brian Johnson is currently in talks to drive with the organizers of V8 Supercar Series for a one-off race. And if you don't know this, Johnson had won a race in America and participated in 2006 reality TV series The Race.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong about this, but I seem to remember this interesting little piece of trivia. Do you know how the AC/DC guys first met him when they were looking for a new vocalist?
I don't.
I believe he was their taxi driver.
Is that why he still wears that hat?
Or a limo driver or something like that. He was driving them around, and they just got to talking and struck up the conversation about how he was a singer. I seem to remember hearing this story somewhere. Maybe it was like a VH1 Behind the Music or something, but obviously he's comfortable behind the wheel, is all I'm saying.
Let's put our crack staff on that, and we'll do some research. I like that story.
It'd be great to see Johnson go up against Nick Mason of Pink Floyd.
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
In a race, and Matt Scannell is also a big
racing guy?
Oh yeah, he
Didn't know that.
In fact, yeah, I mean he hits the race courses quite frequently, and he's a speed demon. He's quite a few videos online. I think he does for KTLA on driving Lamborghinis and Porsches and such.
Vince Neil is also pretty diabolical behind the wheel of a car too.
Allegedly.
No, there's nothing alleged about it. You can go to the grave and see the proof, unfortunately.
Oh.
Such a jackass.
I just saw that he's going, he has to actually serve his prison sentence, I think beginning February
26th?
Something like that. Yeah. But he's out in April, just in time for the tour. So glad he could squeeze it in.
You know, I don't even mind that part of it. I mind the, his quote. It really does. It really bothers me, which is that I finally learned my lesson.
Right.
Really? Dude. Really? It didn't, you killed somebody.
Yeah,
I don't really mean to be the one to remind you of your past.
Yeah, Razzle didn't teach you anything, right?
Seriously, I mean, what a jackass.
Yeah, but, that guy is an alcoholic. I mean, have you seen, they have the paranormal, they have the reality series with the paranormal activity with celebrities. Yeah. He's been on 2 of them, and I feel bad because I think he really believes that he's seen these ghosts.
Well, so does Joan Rivers, but what does that tell you?
Oh, hang on line 3 we have Vince Neil. Oh, just kidding.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I took a serious offense to that line. And you know what? If I was Razzle's family, or anybody related to him, I would have just been so disgusted by hearing him say something like that.
Or a member of MAD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Horrible. Just
bad.
Shitty. So, I don't like you anymore, Vince. Neil.
Wah, wah, wah.
All right, Rach, you got another one for us?
Yeah, should we talk about you want to talk about the Foo Fighters?
Yeah.
Steven?
I'm in.
They're coming out with a documentary. They're making a documentary that expands the course of their past 16 years.
Right. I'm such a massive Foo Fighters fan. I really am. I think those guys are so great.
Isn't it weird, though, that they've been around for 16 years, and yet Dave, I'm sorry, he's always going to be known as the guy who's in Nirvana. You know?
Well,
I think, to me, I still think of, Dave Grohl, drummer from Nirvana. Oh, yeah, and he's got his own band, the Foo Fighters, now.
You know what's funny about that, though, is I don't think he was the last guy in Nirvana. He was not an original Nirvana member. Right. I mean, that's the thing. So, I don't know. I don't necessarily think of them like that anymore. I think the Foo Fighters are one of the greatest rock bands out there right now, in the world right now. I don't think anybody touches them. They're so ballsy and dangerous. Joe and I always talk about bands that when you listen to them, you get that, that feeling of danger, and I think they epitomize that. I just read this today, too, which I was going to read to you a little later on, but, hey, speaking of Paul Gilbert. Good morning, Paul Gilbert. So apparently they played 3 surprise gigs around LA now. They played the Roxy, the Dragonfly, and what's that place in Tarzana, Joe, that we go see tribute bands at in Y&T?
Oh, Paladinos?
Paladinos, that's it. And so, anyway, somebody who was at the show, and I don't know who said this, was asked, so what does all the new stuff sound like? Because they're playing the whole record in its entirety at these shows. So what does the new stuff sound like? And he says, in a word, Rush. The interplay between guitars, bass, and drums could be an instrumental bit from A Farewell to Kings or bits of La Villa Strangiata from Hemispheres, complete with multi-part drum breaks and quick shifts in time signature. How about that?
Well, I guess I'm in would be the appropriate response here. I did see a clip. In fact, Brad, I think you might have sent it to me. There was a little clip that was up on YouTube, I think, of how he was recording. I think most of this was recorded in his garage, right?
Yeah, that's right.
He was going for a really organic sound, and he recorded it in his garage. And one of the funnier bits, and it just shows, one of the funnier bits, and just shows what a great comedic wit the guy has about him. Besides being such a great musical talent, is he took us on a little tour of the garage in this video clip, almost like an MTV Cribs kind of thing, and he shows you what's in the garage refrigerator, and he's showing you, all the food and what he likes to drink and all that stuff, and he starts pulling out these bottles of champagne. He goes, "Yeah, I got all that Nirvana money."
No, he says it's like some of it's all spoiled and bad, and then he pulls out the champagne and he goes, "Dude, champagne," and he looks at the camera and he goes, "Come on, I was in Nirvana." It's so great. I watched that over and over again and couldn't stop laughing. And I sent it to you, and I know you weren't sure what I was talking about. It's that one clip. It makes 5 minutes of it worth watching. Yeah, love it. Dude was in Nirvana. Come on. It's
pretty good. Pretty good.
Steven,
I'm hearing this album is balls to the wall, just the hottest rock. That they've done. This isn't any of their sort of Nora Jones collaboration type stuff. This is really balls to the wall type stuff. I can't wait to hear it.
Did you ever hear Probot?
Yeah, a long time ago. It's been a while. I don't know on the record, but yeah, that's right. It's good to hear Lemmy out of context and do something a little bit different.
I have the Probot. I don't love it because it's too diverse with all the different singers. I couldn't get a handle on it.
The only thing I can tell you about Probot, that the reason I brought it up is because it's a metal record.
Oh, definitely.
This guy's roots are in metal, and I think this record, while it's probably not a metal record,
and not like modern metal, but like new wave British heavy metal, like old school metal.
Oh yeah, and 80s metal. I mean, he was he likes all that stuff, But he, this record is supposed to be, probably not metal, but extremely, extremely heavy, like you said, Steven. So how can this record suck? I don't see it happening. They don't do much that sucks for me anyway. But I saw them I remember seeing them at the Universal one night, at the Universal Amphitheater, and it was like, he is such a fucking rock star, Dave Grohl. Whatever that thing is, he has got it in spades. Like, he is a true rock star. He gets a self-deprecating, he's ridiculous, he's so funny, he stands up there with that guitar, he makes the crazy, Brian May rock star poses, and he laughs at himself, and it's just so rock.
And he made some of the best videos around.
Absolutely.
Some great videos.
And isn't The Pretender one of the great rock songs of the past 10 years?
Great, I agree.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'll never get rid of the visual of that scene of him holding up the Mentos.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw that on this last album, on the last Foo Fighters record. I saw the record, went to the record release party. It was at like the Music Box or something. The guy is just, his presence is almost overwhelming, and it's overwhelming because he makes fun of himself so much. He knows it's ridiculous. You know what I mean? That's what's so great about him. Can't wait. Oh yeah, what do you want to do?
You want to take a little break? You want to go to a track?
What time is it?
It's 9:30. West Coast time.
All right, so we go to a track, come back, and let's rip up the Super Bowl.
We should come back and rip up the Super Bowl because I know everybody's got a take on this, and I'm guessing most of the takes are going to be fairly similar to our take. But so it'll be a fairly one-sided conversation, I think. But
good.
But that's good. We'll all get a little steam.
Get it off our chest.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That.
Or in your case, you can get it off your chin.
Oh, look out now. All right. All right. Well, okay. Here's a little Jadis. This is a wonderful world.
Noise, noise, noise. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Noise, noise, noise. Smoking weed, doing coke, drinking beers, beers. Rolling fatties, smoking blunts. Who smokes the blunts? We smoke the blunts. Rolling blunts and smoking.
Let me get a nickel bag.
$15, little man. Put that shit in my hand. If that money doesn't show, then you owe me, oh. My jungle love, yeah. Oh, we oh. I think I wanna know ya. Yeah, what?
Sorry, I paused it there. Hey, welcome back into the Used Bin. Sorry about that.
It's a crazy kind of night, isn't it?
Yes, here's the story so far. Anyway, we got about 20 minutes until the end of the show, so you can still have time to call us if you'd like. 888-405-7440 is the number. usedbinradio@usedbin.com is the email address. And in the studio tonight, Rachel, the Metal Warrior Princess, looking good, smelling good, and the great Stephen Humphries with all his music knowledge is here hanging out with us and joining in the conversation.
And the spirit of Gary Moore hovering in the room. I'm just saying. Moment of silence.
It's not a moment if you say it's a moment.
Okay. So
that's the story.
Next week, we are going to have Mickey Lee in the bin.
Who's Mickey Lee, Joe?
Mickey Lee is the brother of, as we know him, Joey Ramone's brother.
Right.
He just wrote a book called I Slept with Joey Ramone.
It's very good. I've been reading it. Yeah, it's really good. Really enjoying it.
A clever title.
Yeah. And it's a very good read. Really enjoying the book, and that's going to be a really fun conversation. So, all you Ramones fans and people like that,
and people like that.
What are those people called?
Punks.
All right.
You're like this is like genre profiling now.
Can you get arrested for that?
I think you can.
In Arizona, you can.
It's politically incorrect for the genre profiling.
Arizona, it's safe to genre profile.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, good. You're a metalhead.
There's going to be a lot of genre profiling this Sunday when we're at the Grammys too.
Yeah,
because there's going to be a lot of pop going on, and a little bit of metal too. But that's that's on the other stage on the pre-show. But we'll be there.
All right, let's talk. Let's actually talk about the Super Bowl. Let's get this out of the way, as we briefly touched on it with Kasim and a little bit about the Black Eyed Peas and all that.
Well, let me just start off by saying that I was very excited to watch the big game on Sunday, and so I woke up early and I did watch Liverpool versus Chelsea, and then later I watched the Super Bowl.
Which was an absolutely epic game, by the way. An absolutely fantastic Super Bowl, one of the best. 111 million people watched that thing. Just absolutely fantastic. I saw a great game. But all the stuff that surrounds the Super Bowl every year.
How do we get those kind of numbers, by the way?
111 million?
Yeah, here in the Used Bin Radio. How do we get those kind of numbers? I guess we have to have the Black Eyed Peas performing live.
No, it wasn't them. No. How do we get those numbers? Rich? Okay, just kidding. Anyway, so all the shit that surrounds the Super Bowl every year, not even just the halftime performance, but, the Star-Spangled Banner and all that kind of good stuff. And this year, it seemed like absolutely everything disappointed except the game. And there's been years where it's been the exact opposite. There was so many years where the game was just sucked. The game was just a terrible, terrible football game. But everything around it was great. Michael Jackson's halftime performance, absolutely fantastic. Whitney Houston's national anthem was, totally memorable. All that stuff. Marvin Gaye doing the national anthem, absolutely great. Prince halftime performance was magnificent. Absolutely. And McCartney, I thought, was stellar. Nailed it. This year, the game was brilliant, an absolutely fantastic game. Christina Aguilera absolutely sucked, and the Black Eyed Peas were a massive joke.
Yeah, hard to disagree with any of that. I would watch that Christina performance every day for the next year, as opposed to having to watch that Black Eyed Peas performance again, because that just unnerved me.
Yeah.
That had nothing to do with music as I know it or define it. They're not playing any instruments. They're not doing anything original. They're sampling songs from the time of my life to all kinds of nonsense, and I just don't find it entertaining. I don't get it. It's a pep rally.
Yeah, and for me, the worst part about it, the absolute worst, the most guttural, gut-wrenching, twist the knife in as hard as you can, was Slash. It was just horrible. And I mean, I knew it was coming, and, his relationship with Fergie being on the record and all that stuff, that's all very well documented, and most music fans know about it. But it was if you listen to it, like the guitar he was playing was live, obviously. Everything else was like a bad track.
Right.
Almost like a clap track. There were no drums. I looked at Lee and said, where are the drums? There's no drums. It was like a clap track. And it just made no sense.
And adding insult to injury, not only did he show up and do a classic Guns N' Roses song and just cheese it up, but the fact that they put that silly silver hat on him instead of his usual black top hat was just like just one more nail in the coffin.
You know what it when I heard he was showing up, I thought to myself, this is going to be the way I felt when Aerosmith played with Britney and how bad I thought that was, and just it made me sick a little bit. I'll watch that performance.
Oil and water. It just didn't mix and gel.
There was nothing good about it. And I know that Bob Lefsetz wrote in his little blog that he thought the Black Eyed Peas were fine. You know what I mean? Just the band is over. I so totally disagree. I think they were horrendous, horrific. Fergie was absolutely awful. Stacey Ferguson was terrible. She could not sing a lick. And getting back to Christina for a second, Christina obviously can sing. We know how talented she is, and I get it. She blew the national anthem. Okay, it happens. It just happened to happen.
She didn't blow any notes. She just blew the lyrics.
I disagree completely. She blew
some out-of-tune wobbling there.
I totally agree. I thought she was horrible. I mean, it was. For someone who's that good of a singer,
and she
really blew it as far as the vocals go. Forget them blowing the line. She just sucked it.
Not to mention the lost revenues, because everybody else with that kind of voice who's done a credible national anthem at the Super Bowl, there's a single or a download available, and that's not going to happen now. I'm sure it'll be on YouTube, but it's not going to be on iTunes.
The dirty secret of most of these national anthems at most games is that they're pre-recorded, and the person goes out there and they mime the thing. So they were taking a risk there, but don't go out there and do the whole melisma and can't they get a teleprompter in the 21st century? So
here's the thing. It's a great point. Although I will say this about the Super Bowl,
and then put the lyrics to "Bark at the Moon" across the teleprompter at the last minute. Yeah. Oh, whoops! We got Ozzy's teleprompter. Whoops.
I would say that the Super Bowl, more often than not, it's not pre-recorded, the national anthem, because I don't think Whitney's was, and I don't think some of the other more memorable ones were.
You know what would be the greatest story in the world? If it was pre-recorded and she went out and did it that way anyway. That would be genius.
That would be really good. But no, I just think, and listen, I give her credit for standing up and taking the heat and saying, look, I just blew it. I got caught up in the moment and I blew it. So I give her a lot of credit for that, because she could have very easily just not said a word, But, look, it's easy to get caught up in that. 103,000 people looking at her singing the national anthem. It's a big deal.
It was bad, but I have difficulty faulting her as opposed to the Black Eyed Peas, which was just, that was what they wanted to do. That's what they intended to do. At least she just made an honest mistake in the moment, but
it's because of what we were talking about.
The Black Eyed Peas planned it, and that's
right.
They thought it went off without a hitch.
And there's no you can't. There's no You can't justify that.
Right.
You can't justify that. It's like what we were talking about with Kasim. With Christina Aguilera, there's something tangible. You can latch on to the fact that she's very talented. With the Black Eyed Peas, there's nothing tangible there. It is horrific on every level.
And then after the Black Eyed Peas, there was the Ozzy Osbourne and Justin Bieber commercial, and there's Ozzy rocking a Black Eyed Peas suit. Like, what was up with that? What is that thing? What?
I don't know.
Dear Ozzy.
Listen, man, we've said it for a long time now, but he's so totally jumped the shark, and I don't care what kind of new metal type of record he makes, which is by the way, it wasn't such a horrible record. You can't come back from what you've done.
I have to come clean. I've heard some of the new Ozzy record, but just on principle, I just have not bought it, and I haven't heard the whole thing. Fair. But guilty pleasure, I guess. I really do kind of enjoy that video he did where he's walking through New York. I forget what song that's for.
Street.
Was that the title track? I thought it was a great concept for a video, because here's Ozzy just walking down the street with flowers, and it just looks odd and legitimate, turning of heads of people in the streets of New York City as he's walking down the block and ends up at Lennon's grave, and I thought it was a great concept. So I like the video.
Well, look, the record itself isn't such a horrible record, like we said. It's really not. Right. It's just coming from doing the Osbournes and all of the stuff that's happened in between then and this record, it's tough to come back from that. And when you do a commercial with Justin Bieber, it really doesn't help your cause, for legitimacy, in my book anyway. So, all right, who's in the U-Bin and where are you calling us from?
Hey, Brad and Joe.
Darren, how are you, young man?
I'm doing okay. How are you guys doing?
Very good, very good.
You know who's in the studio tonight?
I just turned the show on about 10 minutes ago.
Oh, okay.
Well, then let me just get it straight right now. Rachel, the Metal Warrior Princess, is in the house.
Hi, Darren.
Hi, Rachel.
How are you?
Hi, Rachel.
So what have you been listening to?
Good.
What have you been listening to?
Nothing new, actually. Not at this time.
That's all right. What old have you been listening to?
Not much music right now, actually.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, what's going on,
Brad?
That's okay, man. I forget.
Hello. Actually, no. Let me take that back. I've actually been listening to some jazz right now.
Oh, nice.
It's good. We like that.
The jazz, they have like a Jazz 100 thing on NPR.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The top great jazz songs. I don't know if you guys are into the Miles Davis and the John Coltrane songs.
Oh, love it.
Absolutely.
Give me some Bitches Brew and I'm good to go.
Okay. I rarely hear you guys ever talk about it, but that's good that you like that.
We could do a whole 3 hours on Mingus, but I don't know how many people that would excite, except maybe the three of us.
Yeah, that's true. Do you ever pick up the Bitches Brew box set that they put out with all the outtakes and Guinevere 20 minutes of that?
So great.
So great. Yeah. Good stuff. Or
I've only got just a regular album. You know, it took me 10 listens to figure out what that album was about.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Because it's not immediate. It's not, Birth of Cool or some of the earlier, more immediate Miles Davis stuff. It was real experimental and real avant-garde at the time. And historically, we know now that it wasn't incredibly well received by jazz purists at the time. But he, you could almost argue he invented prog.
Sure,
I mean, it was
absolutely.
He was on the cusp of something fusion right there.
Yeah, well, I like Kind of Blue better though.
Yeah, that's a classic. Mm-hmm. That's a classic.
I mean, if you don't have that, you got to have it. Whether you're a Miles Davis fan or starting out into liking jazz, that's that and a Love Supreme. So
I'm with you. I knew this girl once who I asked her what kind of music she was into. She said she was into jazz. I said, "Oh, really? Like Miles Davis?" She said, "No, like Kenny G." That was the end of that.
By the way, that was a great Super Bowl commercial. Prison Sax.
Oh yeah,
that was a great commercial.
Great.
Very good.
Well, my mother used to listen to Kenny G, and it was pretty lame.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a tough one to stomach, huh?
Well, after seeing some of those Kenny G things on YouTube right now, I have sort of a newfound respect for the guy because he's got a great self-deprecating sense of humor. So hard to spite him.
Yeah. What else is going on, Darren?
I was listening to what you guys were talking about that Super Bowl thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's a shame that it was the other way around with the singers. I think a lot of those guys could learn a lot from Randy Bachman and Fred Turner when they performed at the CFL Grey Cup, which is the Canadian version of the
Super
NFL.
Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching some YouTube clips a while back, and they did some hits, and they brought out a bunch of cheerleaders and dancers, and the audience really got into it. I'm thinking,
Did they do the halftime?
From that.
Did they do?
Yeah, they did halftime. Yeah, they did halftime.
Right. I bet that's a big hit too up there. And those guys are legends up there. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. A lot of people were like, "Yeah," but for them it was pretty good. But just watching the footage,
right?
They took one of their newer tunes and kind of well known now, I guess. So.
Well, the thing with the Super Bowl here, anyway, is that since the Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake issue, they've gone to a very safe classic rock halftime show format. And so since the last sort of foray into hip hop, they've gone to the Who and Paul McCartney and Tom Petty and the Stones. I think the Stones. Did the Stones read?
I think so.
The Stones. So they've done this.
They did.
Yeah. So they've sort of exhausted this classic rock route. And last year when they had the Who, everybody just sort of ripped them apart because it really wasn't great. And Springsteen was there too. They did Springsteen. But compared to what we saw this year, the Who were absolutely perfect. I mean, the Who was
by
incredible.
comparison.
By comparison. So hopefully they've learned their lesson again.
Yeah. I think I would not be surprised to see them.
Is, like with them, like with that whole thing, like they're so... Oh, it's like having your back against the wall because they're so... I don't know, they're so afraid of like some controversial thing happening. I mean, thank God U-Spin doesn't have that. You can say whatever you want.
Right.
You're not going to bleep that out or be like, oh, crap,
There's no...
Darren, what would you do with censored used bin?
Yeah, right. There's no wardrobe malfunctions here either.
Well, that's why it's good we have DJs with personality.
Hey, I like
Thank you, Stephen, and thank you, Rachel. Because I'm sure that's who you're referring to, right?
Well, everybody, really. I mean,
well, we appreciate that, Darren. Darren, you're certainly one of the most loyal and better listeners of this show, and we appreciate it very much. But we have to let you go because we're going up against the end of the show.
Good. All good. I'm turning in anyway, so...
Okay.
All right, man. Well, thank you again for calling, as always, man, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care, guys.
Good night. All right. Anyone else want to quickly chime in on the Super Bowl? Can we do that, Joe?
I have a couple of quotes that are worth mentioning here.
Okay.
Nikki Sixx chimed in and said...
Nikki Sixx of 6 a.m.?
Yes, that's the guy. That's the guy. Worst halftime ever. Jesus, really? That was his quote.
Right.
Let's see. Someone from The Roots chimed in and said, Fergie is the first woman to perform the halftime show since Nipplegate. Highly surprised the unmovable Axl cleared this. It's a good point. I wonder if Axl was consulted or even knew in advance that song was going to be played. I wonder.
No, I'm sure he does. I'm sure he wasn't. I'm sure he didn't.
Slash doesn't need clearance for anything like that.
Really? I mean, it was so bad. It's just bad. Would Axl have done a better job? How about that?
Oh, that would be a halftime show that everybody would be interested in catching.
You think?
Yeah.
Because who knows what would happen? No, they wouldn't show up on time, so they couldn't get it done.
Tom Gable from the band Against Me just said, the Black Eyed Peas make me want to quit music.
Yeah. Here's my question, and I know we got to wrap it up, but I'm really curious to know what people in the hip-hop world thought of that. Really, honestly, like if they were really being honest, I want to know what people in the hip-hop world thought of it. It's obvious what rock and roll people think of it.
See, I can't imagine they even liked it because there was nothing, for a rap purist, there was nothing there. That was a pep rally. That's
hip-hop. It's not rap. Like there's the sort of the difference between Kanye and Eminem.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just curious to know, like, what does a real hip-hop person think of that? I mean, honestly, like, come on. If you're being honest with yourself, you know that sucked.
Yeah. Well,
it sucked.
And
that's all I can say.
And there's the definitive word.
There we go.
All right. Well, Rachel, anything you'd like to add to that?
It sucked. Watching the Steelers lose, that sucked.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, no, it sucked for me.
Okay, fair enough. That's right. You smell good, though. I know. Yeah, it's true. And I will certainly not rub that in, for sure.
Thank you.
That the Steelers lost.
I think we should check on Bret Michaels.
I'd like to see Poison do a halftime show.
See how his heart's doing after that big loss.
Poison would do the halftime show at a fucking rodeo. Super Bowl.
Come on, you could totally see like CeCe running around with like a Green Bay helmet on.
Who are the special guests? Ladies and gentlemen, Jamie Lane of Warren.
Give it up.
Give it up for little Heaven. Are you dirty, rotten, filthy, stinking rich?
Give it up, Super Bowl.
Give it up. Give it up, Super Bowl. This is Jizzy Pearl, ladies and gentlemen of Love Hate. Ow!
Wow.
Blackout in the red room. Okay. A few thank yous before we get on out of here.
Yes, please.
Save you all from myself. Rich at Pure Rock Radio, thank you so much.
Thank you, Rich.
Terry Edwards and Max Krasny at Westwood One.
Thank you, boys.
Rob Wilson and Chris Stone at usedbin.com.
Ah, yes.
Are doing a fine job. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at usedbin Radio, and I've been tweeting a lot lately, so come and say hello to me and follow us there. And Facebook, you can check us out at usedbin Radio and come and say hello to us there as well. And usedbin.com, check out the forums. There's going to be an unbelievably enthralling and gripping conversation with Kyle and Rachel, which starts Thursday. And God, I can't wait to see it. Can't wait. That's big stuff. Who else wants to plug anything?
Anyway?
Rachel, you want to plug something?
Anything?
I'll just say
that's Steven, not Rachel. In case you didn't know.
I'll just say stay hot, be cool, and ciao for now.
There's a sign-off, ladies and gentlemen. How about that?
Well, we're not nearly as cool as that,
Very nice. Very nice.
That's the deal. Who's coming up next week, Joe?
Well, next week, as I mentioned, we have Joey Ramone's brother, Mickey Lee. So we're going to be talking about his book. We'll also be giving you our recap as Brad and I will be at the Grammys this Sunday. So we'll give you the inside scoop, the behind-the-scenes dirt, if you will, of what's going on before and after and during the Grammy ceremony. In a couple of weeks, we've got Dan Reed returning to the Used Bin.
Oh, good.
Who's got a new record coming out.
In studio.
With guitar.
Right.
Taking requests.
Yes, taking requests.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Close to the heart, anyone?
Dude, that's like La Villa Strangiata?
Anything can happen.
I'm sure we can get that.
Anything can happen.
Didn't we listen to that tonight?
I don't know.
All right. But all right. Joe Mama.
It was nice to see you.
As always, to you, Rachel. To you, Steven. To see ya. Nice. Good night, everybody.
Used Bin Radio.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
You're listening to a live internet broadcast on Pure Rock Radio.
At PureRockRadio.com.